Mm-hmm.
Well, you're here, so let's officially start.
Oh, it's 6:02 already. Welcome to Beaver Politics. Actually, sorry, let me correct myself. Welcome to the Beaver Network with Frontline Feminists and Mrs. Radical, and we're here to talk about, well, truth and disclosure. And we're going to talk about what's going on this week.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about all the craziness. So thank you for being here. Remember, tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. We appreciate you guys for being here. My first question to you, Miss Radical, is have you seen the viral video that's now going around where Trump got caught basically admitting to the fact that the pause on tariffs was a total market manipulation?
No, I didn't know. I didn't see it at all. I'm actually just chewing on the fact that Mark Carney called Trump a national security threat. That's what I just read.
Good, because he is.
Fabulous.
Yeah, but Trump was sitting in the in his Oval Office with a bunch of billionaires and basically saying, "Oh look, he made 900 billion. Oh look, he made 90 billion. Oh look, he made all this money." Like it was, yeah. There was a lot of billionaires that made money off that market crash.
Disgusting, hey?
Beyond disgusting.
I'm just trying to get my camera ready. I'm
That's
trying
okay.
to put my beaver ears.
I
I like my beaver ears. Are they neat?
Are those beaver ears?
I'm gonna say they're beaver ears because it makes me feel good.
That's fair.
Makes me
That's
feel
fair.
good.
Do you like my background today?
You know what? I was like, oh, she's feeling my vibe. I'm just getting through the second episode, and it's just feeling like it all over in the States, hardcore. It's like they're auditioning for it.
It is wild. The smear campaigns and the lies coming from the conservative side is just
Ridiculous.
whew. Yeah. It's the last 24 hours have been especially hard. I think that there was a couple of conservatives that sent hundreds of them to my page over the last little while because I've been bombarded, massively bombarded. So I had to block over 150 people just in the last 24 hours.
Oh, wow. That's brutal.
With some really nasty DMs.
I caught some of the comments in some of your videos. And I was like, this is wild. Who talks like that?
There's just so much misinformation going around. It is incredible. And there was a report that came out to show that right now in Canada, Facebook is actually the number one source for misinformation. Facebook is littered with anti-Carney memes and lies and just...
Radical says it's true.
Yeah.
I don't do Facebook very much.
And Pierre Poilievre has just been lying and lying and lying that I think I have a new life goal. I think I chose my new life goal today.
Tell me about it.
I am going to make it my life goal to create a new law, to campaign, petition, do whatever it takes over the course of my lifetime to make it illegal for politicians to lie. Obviously, when it comes to security issues, national security issues, they would be allowed to say I can't talk about this, but it needs to be illegal for politicians to lie like that. I mean, it's beyond.
I think so too.
It's beyond anything. The fact that there's no accountability, there's zero accountability for them lying. PP called a journalist a protester the other day because she was trying to ask him about a security clearance. He's making up crazy numbers that, criminals are going in and out of jail 6,000 times in a year. Only what he said, 150 criminals have gone in and out of jail 6,000 times in a year, something like that, which has been fact checked. It's not true. Discrediting every single credible news source. Lying about Trump, he just made the statement that, the 90-day pause didn't include Canada, therefore Carney's not doing a good job. And it's we were never in that list to begin with. That giant list that he came out with on Liberation Day, we were never on that list. So you can't say that they paused. Like, the same tariffs that we had from before are still the same tariffs we have now. That we were never on that list of additional tariffs. So it's just so much misinformation that's being spread. It's wild.
It's like a six-ring circus. It's just always going.
It's kindergarten bullying at this point. Like, he is bullying like a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think he wants to push it to almost civil war. You know what I mean? He wants to take it to that edge. Do you know what I mean? So he can use the Emergencies Act or whatever he's going to use to shut things down. Yeah.
So I follow a couple of investigative journalists that look into these kind of right-wing groups to see what's happening. And they're planning for a January 6th type of event in case the Liberals win, because they're all saying that if the Liberals win, the election's rigged, they're not going to accept the results. I mean, it is literally a copycat of everything that happened in the States.
So you know how my conspiracy theory was all about Doug Ford and everything? Well, I've rethought it all. That's certainly a possibility, but I've actually rethought it all. And I'm beginning to start to think that, like, after listening to Pierre Poilievre talk at his recent rallies, some of the things he's saying are like, look at 5,000 people here, 10,000 people here, but they're half rooms. Like, there's video all over the place of these rooms being almost empty. And I wonder if what he's doing is he's trying to set the table for the stolen election January 6th piece. Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't...
because it kind of goes in that line of stolen election, you know. They'll come back and they'll be like, where were all those people? And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the same playbook. Same exact playbook. I hate being so close to the United States. Their culture and their misinformation has seeped into this country, and it has infected so many people in this country, and that's not what this country was about. We were the peacekeepers. We were the ones that accepted diversity. We were the ones that, you know, had the easiest time to be able to come here and start a new life from all different areas of the world. I mean, it's been hard. It's been really hard. And I had something I wanted to say, but then I lost it when we started talking about that. I'm trying to remember what it was that I wanted to point out. Oh, yeah. The CBC investigative journalist that spent a bunch of time on Facebook. I think I sent it to you. You might have seen it, where she talked about how AI is getting so incredibly smart at being able to talk like a human being in terms of bots, and how there's buy and sell groups with lots of people, lots of, you know, members that are being now sold in order for those buy and sell groups to be able to spread misinformation and disinformation. So there's literally conservative groups that are buying buy and sell groups so they can go spread their misinformation and propaganda in there.
That wouldn't surprise me. I know we have a lot of back groups on Facebook too. Like a lot of back chat groups where people talk. Like, I don't know if you got them. Like, I still have some things on my Facebook that I have to go check for work and things. So every so often, and I have it on like a phone that I don't use, right? Like, it's not connected to anything. It's an old phone. So, but when I go on it, every so often, I'll see in my messenger, oh, you should have this talk, and I'll go into the back chat to see what this is about, and they're usually talking about Trump or some kind of politics.
Yeah,
you can see there's kind of, and yeah, we're seeing it everywhere. I'm just getting you on my iPod,
right? Like, it's just if we don't change the way that we're going right now, society is absolutely done for.
What do you think when you like change the way we're going? Like, that's kind of
we need to regulate social media, and we need to start having some very clear laws in place. But that's the thing, it's going to cause massive uprise because people are going to be like, oh, now my social media is being mediated, but because then there's the whole, like, you know, who's in charge of who's in charge of the truth, right? That's what people are going to freak out about.
Did you know that I was a conservative before I was?
I know.
Yeah, it's wild, right? But I lived in Calgary, Alberta. Like, I lived in Stephen Harper's riding.
But conservatives, at least what you can say, though, when you were a conservative in the past, is that the Conservative Party in the past was not the Conservative Party of today.
No, but they were playing the long game. So when Harper set up is that IUD or
IDU?
IDU. I always say it wrong. I have dyslexia. Sorry. But yeah, so when Harper set that up, like, I remember going to church and thinking, like, oh, isn't that wonderful? Jesus is in our politics. Oh, we'll have to. I kid you not. My friends and I were talking that way, right? And Mr. Radical was like, but is it good? Is it a good thing? Like, and he's kind of nicely countering me and everything. But yeah, we were like right in the soup of it, and we don't really see it. Like, once I moved to BC and I completely removed myself out of that echo chamber, it was like all of a sudden I could see. All of a sudden I could hear. It was like a different, like I could touch the ground and I could feel. And it was, all I was getting in Alberta was a cycle of misinformation constantly. Have you ever listened to the Chorus radio network?
Nope.
I thought it was just talk radio when I was a young mom, and my husband was away on the oil rig, so I'd turn it on to keep me company in the car or go somewhere, and I'd listen to that stuff. Well, that's all like massive Christian fascist propaganda, like Art Bell on the radio there. He was saying so much stuff. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, they've been marinating in this for years. This has been,
I know,
years and years they've been playing it since I would say probably, when did the Bitcoin come out? Like 2007?
No, I think it was a little bit after that.
Somewhere in there.
Let's see. I can tell you.
I remember it was in the rise of Facebook.
2009.
2009, yeah. And it was like the rise of Facebook. All of a sudden, everybody was discovering the great qualities of Facebook and Zuckerberg. And yeah.
I mean, I've been following this, as you know, for pretty much my entire life, because at the end of the day, the conspiracy theories started with Russia. Russia was, spreading the conspiracy theories from the dawn of social media. But then, the American Republican Party started using it because they saw it as an advantage. And COVID was really what pushed everything over the edge, as everybody knows.
Really? I always thought it was Obama that pushed it over the edge for those Republicans. My dad's an oil and gas guy, and I gotta tell you, he said, no, I don't think Obama pushed him over did anything wrong. I love Obama.
No, I'm saying psychologically, maybe. I'm saying COVID pushed it over the edge when it came to the spreading of propaganda, right? With all of the paid actors and podcasters that started actually receiving funds from Russian oligarchs to spread certain messages because they knew that COVID was a good time to divide the Western nations of the world. Because as we said, right, this is not a Canada only issue. This is a Europe issue. This is a United States issue. All Westernized nations got divided.
Yeah, totally. I remember, though, after Obama got elected, there was that tea party, and they were all screaming and bring their pew-pews, and the noise just started. And I remember talking to my dad, who was this Alberta oil and gas guy that rose up through the ranks and everything. And I remember talking to him one day and saying to him, like, I'm just so excited that Obama's there, and I'm just waiting to see this change. Like, it's so promising for the world. I was a young mom at the time too, right? And he said, you know what? I've dealt with those Americans for a long time, and they will never get over the fact that a man of color is in office. They're not well. Ooh, that is so pretty.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, the Republicans went downhill when they joined up with the Tea Party, and the Conservatives went downhill when they joined up with the Reform Party.
100%. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I love the eyes. Thank you.
So definitely that's when everything started going downhill, because they decided to get close to the far right. But I wanted to share something now that there's a little bit more people in here. We've been talking for a while. I wanted to share why I chose that photo today.
Talk to me.
The House just passed the SAVE Act today.
Oh, no.
The House of Representatives voted today to pass the SAVE Act, and the vote count was 220 to 208, and 4 Democrats voted for it. And those Democrats were Jared Golden, Marie Gluestenkamp, Henry Culler, and Ed Case. But even if they didn't vote that way, there would still be more Republicans, so no matter what, it would have passed, but it passed.
And
SAVE
so
Act got passed by the House.
I know right now, myself personally, what the implications of that are, but for some of our listeners that don't know some of the implications of that, because it sounds really nice, the SAVE Act, but it's not so nice. So let's talk about the not so nice parts. Like women that are married, will they be able to vote? How does
it still needs to pass Senate. It still
Okay.
needs to pass Senate, but this is one step closer to it being legally passed. So Senate is really where it's going to come down the line, and they need about 60 votes in the Senate to be able to pass it, but it's just one step closer now. So it's still a very hard day for the 68 million women in the United States who would lose their right to vote because
And how
they
does
took
that
their
work
husband's
if they-
last name.
How does it work that they lose their right to vote? It's because they're married.
So what this law states that if your IDs do not match your birth certificate, then you can't vote. So any woman that took their husband's last name, any transgender person that changed their name, will not have a right to vote.
I'd be one of those people. I've been married for 30 years and almost 30 years. And
well, I'll tell you this right now. If I ever do get married, after everything we've gone through, I am not taking any man's last name. And if he doesn't want to marry me for that, I don't care. I think any good man would understand. No, I know. Okay. And that's what I mean. Now that we're seeing like what's happening, I will never give up my last name.
Yeah. Corey says I call BS. Well,
you can read about it yourself, Corey. All you have to do is go on Google, use your little hands and type in SAVE Act, United States of America. Read through it. And he's already put this out already in an executive order. It's not just the SAVE Act. I think it was an executive order March 25th that he wrote it, somewhere along there. But you can read it in the executive order, and you can also read it in the bill for the SAVE Act. So go ahead and have your fun with it.
And this is just going to get worse from here, because these are all the steps that they talked about on Project 2025. And it just gets more diabolical as we go along. We're at 61 days, 62 days of his presidency, and this is where they're at.
Yeah, and we need to stay as strong as possible, because the insults that are going to be hurled at us over the next couple of weeks are going to get worse and worse and worse, and we are going to be called the nastiest things, because like they don't have anything outside of insults and slander for the most part. So, everybody that's involved, everybody that's speaking out, y'all need to be really strong. Y'all need to get some really thick skin over the next couple of weeks and just hang in there. Hang in there, mute, block, delete, whatever you need to do. Or, do what I do once in a while and come up with some really sneaky comments in return. Somebody asked me the other day, why isn't your hair blue? And I was like, I don't know, because your mom likes it brown.
That's funny.
So
That's really funny.
I need to come up with some way to respond that won't get me blocked off, because in my comments, like, I write the least, aggressive comments ever, and I get a violation for.
I'm a walking violation, man. I just believe when they violate me.
Yeah. But I get called things like little girl, you don't know anything, go do your research, you're so misled, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, dude, I have more education in my pinky finger than like 50 of you combined.
One thing that helped me go when I was blocking on my TikTok and my Facebook was they said go look at Facebook and then all of the following that follow you that are from Facebook and then block them. And there was a whole bunch on TikTok that were following me.
I never linked my Facebook to my TikTok.
I never did either. Not one of my devices are linked to Facebook, but I've got all these Facebook things following me, right? So I deleted them all and it kind of cleaned up my comment section a bit. I don't know if it'll work for anyone else, but I did.
I don't have anything from Facebook on my TikTok.
I didn't either. It was so weird.
I don't know. When I get really like rude and nasty comments, like if they're, opposition comments and whatever, but when they get nasty and rude and like some guy yesterday in my comment section told me that he wants to dissect my face.
Seriously?
Yeah. So like when I see that, I'm like, all right, this is actually dangerous at this point. Yeah. So goodbye, out the door.
Bye-bye.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's just, that's what I mean. Like, we live in a society where like we get attacked all the time. And I'm sorry, but like most people on the left are not going into conservative lives or not going on conservative pages just to shit talk them. If anything, we might be like, hey, this is where you're wrong. These are the actual facts. But at the end of the day, like, we're not spending our time going around being keyboard warriors and writing horrible stuff to them and like making insults that borderline are violent threats. So it's just like the way that this world is going, if it continues down this way, like I have no hope.
I had a fella a couple of weeks ago that said he wanted to rape me and like I'd have like a leash around my neck, he said. That was awesome. And TikTok didn't give him a violation.
Yeah. But I get a violation for saying that I'm never going to step foot in the United States. That somehow gives me a violation.
I got a poo emoji. I used a poo emoji and I got a violation.
I know me. I used a clown emoji, got a violation. I used you know what, like when you want to rate dumpster fire, so you put like a picture of a trash can and then a little burning flame around it. Yeah. That got a violation. Yeah.
It's never ending.
It's
yes, I said that.
It's really sad.
EWW always gets violations.
Yeah. But it's funny how they can write it. Like, I get ew in my comments from conservatives, no violation. I try to write it, it instantly gets taken down. Like,
conservatives have taken a masterclass on social media. I will say that about them. Like, they have been playing the long game. I mean, Stelmach created the Stelmach Institute in Alberta and had all those little bro boys going there and learning and created those Facebook bot bro brothers, you know what I mean? Like, they did a great job at that. Like, they've been playing the long game, and we've been like, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I have a question that I kind of wanted to ask the audience today and also talk about it, because I think that we talk a lot about politics, we talk a lot about policy, but to touch on an emotional thing, because I think a lot of people are struggling emotionally. how is everybody doing with, like, I don't know if any of you have ever had these moments where you kind of sit down and you realize that, everything that you envisioned about the future and, the joy that you could experience, the love that you could experience, the beautiful trips and the beautiful earth that we get to experience. And that's all gone. Like it's a weird thing to be like, wow, the future looks so grim that all of these dreams, these goals, these things that I used to picture happening for my future now feel like they're not going to happen because I'm going to be spending the rest of my future fighting for basic human rights in the world. And, just going out on a hike and looking around and seeing like the earth is so beautiful. This is so beautiful, but this could all be polluted if the regulations for environmental pollution get cut back. This could all be on fire if we continue, mass emissions and climate change gets worse and worse and worse. Like, how is everybody dealing with that? Because I think a lot of us, when we were growing up, we had such a beautiful vision for the future. And now it's like a little bit of an apocalyptic vision. And it's really sad, right? Like, I think we need to take the time to grieve and mourn that so that we can properly continue the fight. So I just wanted to touch on like the mental health issue, right? Because it is really hard on people's mental health. I've seen a lot of people, that are mutuals of ours say that during this election period, like they've actually had to take time off. Like they can't even make content anymore because they're so mentally exhausted by being berated with so many lies and conspiracies and slander. And so are you guys taking care of yourselves? Are you doing things for your mental health? Are you taking the time to grieve, to mourn, to cry, to see a therapist, to do whatever, right? Like, are you taking care of yourselves? Because this stuff will wear you thin. And the only way for us to be able to keep up the good fight is to take care of ourselves mentally.
I got to tell you, I'm doing a lot more walking and getting out. The amygdala starts to shake, and you go into panic and flight. And my fight or flight is really high right now. I live by Crown Land, and sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, let's pack the trailer, let's get the kids, let's get out there and find something, do something, and we'll get our friends and we'll, I get in. You've heard me kind of panic. You've seen that.
Yep.
Right? I freak out. And then I'm like, but I think it's too because I'm a caregiver. So I have a group of people I feel like I have to be responsible for too. Right? So I feel like I always have to have a backup plan and be ahead of everything, which terrifies me. Because I just heard something on TikTok today where somebody said, when you lose democracy, you don't even know it. You don't even hear it. It's like you're watching a movie and you go get some popcorn and then the next day you wake up and democracy's gone.
Yeah. But I am glad to see that people in the chat are saying some pretty positive things, that they're taking the time out, they're going to the gym, they're going to the spa, they're taking a break, they're painting, they're walking. So it's good to see that. Honest Thomas just said I mask very well. I have some days that are harder than others, but I'm doing okay. Yeah, there's definitely some days that are harder than others.
The Fables Family Guy says I basically become dead and unalived inside.
I've had days like that too. Like I have days where I feel really, really numb to everything. And then I have days where I feel more positive. And then I have days where I feel more depressed. But like last night I caught up a little bit with one of my favorite girly shows. I finally started watching season 6 of Virgin River. I know, I'm such a girl, but I love it. I love it because it's so beautiful, because it's all filmed here in BC and it's filmed up in Squamish, and like, oh my God, it's breathtaking. Like the nature in this show is so breathtaking, and I love it because every time they pan out on a beautiful scene or they're on a beach, I'm like, oh, I know that. I know exactly where that is. I know exactly where that is, right? That's my backyard. So the reason I watched that show, it started off because I wanted to watch a show that had beautiful nature scenes, and it was all filmed here. But halfway through that show, I was like, this is actually really depressing, because the show is all about like love and compassion and beautiful nature. And I'm like, oh, It's like a utopia that I feel like is so out of reach for me now, you know? Like I can still go out and enjoy my provincial parks and stuff, but what does the future really hold? Am I going to be able to do that 10 years from now? Are those trees still going to be there? Are they going to be burnt down? Like we're already under smoke every single summer. And now we have a guy that wants to tear down more environmental regulations so that it gets even worse. That's terrifying. That is terrifying. It just makes me feel so sad for Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, do you want to open up the panel and bring some people up and start having a bigger conversation?
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great
Sparkles.
idea.
Practice gratitude, yeah. Thank God I'm a yoga teacher and I get to teach yoga. And then, you know, when I have to take my students through meditation, I have to do it myself too. And that actually forces me to sit down and think of all the things I'm grateful for. So I'm really grateful that me teaching those classes snaps me sometimes out of the doom and gloom, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I think it's going to be really cool. I talk to my kids a lot and I say, don't have kids right now. Enjoy your life. Go travel a little bit.
Right now is just scary, like scary.
Have fun. Just go have some fun if you have an opportunity to have fun. You know, go. Like I said to them, like, let's build a tiny home for you. Let's build a camper. You guys can go on adventures. And then, you know, but don't worry about the big stuff right now. Just go try to live your life.
Yeah. I'm so grateful I don't have kids right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry for those of you that are in here that do have small children. And now I can understand how hard that is, but I'm just grateful that I don't have to worry about that right now. And I think that's one of the things that actually helps me to do what I do is knowing that like my children won't be attacked because I don't have them.
Good point.
So
Good point.
I'm like, you know what? If anything bad happens to me, at least I'm not like leaving someone behind.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of gives me the motivation to be like, all right, let's go all in. Let's.
And that's when I'm freaking out a lot of the time. Like I'm totally panicking and I'm like, okay, so I've got to be a caregiver. And then Frontline's like, I'm going to go fight. I'm going to be like a frontline person, of course, because she's frontline feminist, right? You know, and we're all talking about roles and what's important in these times and everything. Yeah, it kind of gets to us. But I like that people are going out. Camping is my favorite thing to do. So, and you know, paddleboarding. So it's coming up this season.
Yep. I got to get my paddleboard out. All right, guys, come up on the panel. Let's chat. Just jumped in. What is the discussion? Well, we're going to create a discussion once we get the panel going. We were just talking about... we just took 10 minutes or so to just talk about the mental health of going through such a heightened election period. Don't be shy, guys. Jump into the chat. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about what's been happening. Let's talk about what's been going on.
So if you were in Handmaid's Tales, what color do you think would you be assigned to?
I don't know because I, like in terms of, what do you mean?
I think I'd be a Martha.
I haven't watched it. I don't have Prime. I will not support Amazon and it's only on Amazon. So until I can illegally download it.
I'll try to find a way to get it to you.
I have a friend who's traveling in Europe right now. And when he's back, he promised he would download all the episodes for me.
You're going to love it. Well, you won't love it. You won't love it.
I know what you mean, though. I will love it in a weird way. I'll appreciate it.
Exactly. Hi, Hi, Sean. Hi, Cedar. Hi, Sparkle.
Hello.
Guys,
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for coming up.
thanks for having us up.
So if you were in Handmaid's Tale, what color would you be assigned?
I actually don't remember what the colors mean. I read the book a really long time ago.
So I think
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say I read the book a long time ago, and I even watched like the summary of The Handmaid's Tale in this like 1 hour summary version on YouTube, using clips and stuff from the actual show because that was the only thing I could do to get close to watching it. But I don't remember the colors either.
I'm gonna tell you. So red is a handmaiden, obviously, right? And then teal is like a woman of power, like Mrs. Waterford. It's that like tealy, is it blue, is it green teal? It almost looks like the same color of teal that the Canadian military has on their uniform. And then pink is a child. And then gray is, what are they called? The Marthas. Those are the workers. Those are like the women that can't bear children anymore, but they're not, and they clean and take care of the house and take care of the family.
Like the cooks or the maids.
I think I would be dead because I have disabilities and I can't do any of those things.
Yeah, I would be on the wall because I'm homosexual.
Yeah, and I'm also queer, so.
I would be a Martha. I would definitely be a Martha, and I would probably be like secretly planning in the background of how to take down the powers that be.
Anything, you have to go to the work camps, right? If you're a bad Martha. But I figure I would be a bad Martha too.
Yeah.
I would be,
The day that I read the book, I was an extra on a TV show, and this was before smartphones. And I read the entire book that day, and as I was reading it, I realized that I was pregnant. Like, I just had the feeling that I was pregnant. And reading that book while figuring out that I was pregnant, like, just freaked me out. And then I got my positive pregnancy test the next day. But that was a really freaky time to be reading that book.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I read that book in
Margaret
high school,
Atwood, right?
and it really opened my eyes. But for now, I don't really have a role as a straight white male in the whole Handmaid's Tale, so I'm going to be part of the resistance and try to escape people back into Canada, and then help promote the the right over the wrong kind of thing. Yeah. I'm gonna be dirty with like overalls on and like always like dirt on my face, going like, "We gotta get you here quick, okay?"
You're driving the car.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey,
Actually, my wife and I are like two seasons behind because we got caught up in some other shows. So don't ruin the where we are now for me, please. Thank you.
Hey, I got a question about that series. That series, what happened to Canada in that series? I'd never watched it. Did it ever say what happened to Canada?
We can't say because we'll ruin it for.
Oh, it's okay. Go blah blah blah.
Okay, sorry. I've never seen it. I'm just curious what part Canada plays in it.
So I'm into the second show in the new series, and Canada does come under attack, is what I will say. I won't say how Canada fares in it, but Canada also becomes under attack.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody know how far into the series the book covers?
They go into the Testament. So there's a book, and it's after the whole series, because she wrote this book many years ago. So about 4 years ago, she wrote the Testaments, and it kind of ties up a few questions for you. You don't get an entire vision of an end because it's a movement, right? It's not just going to end with one person getting like, it's a whole movement, right? But it kind of shows where that movement goes to, and some really cool things are happening in this season.
I think
How many books were there?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
8? Was there 8 or? I'm just curious. I think it was 8.
I've only read the main one, the first book. So, and I thought that covered kind of like the first 2 seasons.
Oh.
But it left it open for interpretation for the.
Well, the Testament was it left it open.
Yeah, I haven't read the Testament. That's the new one that just came out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read that. No.
It's a gooder.
Oh, okay. I will.
It kind of fills in some blanks that I was struggling with.
Well, they consult with her for the TV series too, eh?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Want to
she
hear something
actually-
crazy
she
about June?
Hold on. When you guys are tapping, whoever's got their microphone on that's tapping, we can hear the tapping. So just turn off your microphone and you're tapping. Also, just for everyone that's here and everyone that's in the chat, so you guys are saying that the show is also on Crave, not just on Amazon? Like, is it actually on Crave?
Yeah, I
Because
watched
if
it on
that's the
Crave.
case,
Yeah. It's on
okay. I'm signing up for Crave today, straight up. Because the only reason I haven't been watching it is because it was It was on Amazon Prime, and I will not give Jeff Bezos my money. So,
What season are? How many
about the
seasons have they
actress
done?
that's June.
Sorry, how many seasons have they done?
Oh, 5 or 6 seasons now.
6 now?
Six? Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, and you'll love it. Get the popcorn. The actress is actually the main actress, June, in real life. She's a Christian Scientist.
No, she's a Scientologist.
There you go. I said it wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Was she in
Hashtag
that TV
dyslexia.
series? Was she in Mad Men?
Yes, she was.
Yes, she was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So isn't she like the cute Penny?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she was also in The West Wing, which is one of my favorite television
Oh,
shows
okay.
of all time as well. Yeah.
It's interesting that she would be in this show though when she's wrapped up in a cult herself.
Right? That
Yeah.
part fascinated me.
And when she was in The West Wing, if she was still in that, if she was a Scientologist, because it was a very democratic show, like it was left leaning, very liberal. So that I've just learned this tonight that she was a Scientologist, which that freaks me out actually a little bit.
Isn't Tom Cruise one too?
He
Oh,
sure
yeah.
is.
He's like
But
one of
Tom
the
Cruise is
main
a
ones.
weirdo.
He's way up high on the in
Okay.
Scientology.
Yeah.
It's like a pyramid scheme. Scientology is almost like a pyramid scheme, and yeah, Tom Cruise is like way high up.
Huh.
There's actually a couple good TikTokers who walk in front of the Scientology main office on like Hollywood Boulevard, and they just like whenever like anyone goes by, like whether it's a tourist or someone else, they're like, "Don't go in there. It's a cult. No. Come talk to me. I'll tell you all about it. It's really bad." And they try to like they call the cops and on him all the time. Like there's a couple of them, but they call the cops and they're like, "Dude, he's allowed to say whatever he wants to say on the sidewalk."
Is that the religion that's based on L. Ron Hubbard's books or whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my
yeah,
God, eh?
Yeah.
Very
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So that actually where it came from, those books.
Yeah.
Oh no. And that's not too that's 30 years ago?
It's the newest religion in the world, I think.
Is it really?
Well, I would. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I would have to think so. I haven't heard of anything other than Scientology that.
Well,
actually
Christian
has a-
Scientology too, right?
What would the following
Frontline,
be
I
of
think we need to make
Scientology?
up our own religion now.
Yeah. Well,
the
maybe
anti-PP religion.
what's that one with the they wear the colanders on their head, the Rastafari
Flying-
Pastafarians.
Spaghetti.
Have you ever heard of the
Oh, the ones that
Pastafarians?
thought the aliens were gonna come down and take
Yeah. But they do it as a joke kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
as a
but it's
joke.
pretty funny. Yeah. But I would think like they probably have 50, 60, maybe 100,000 followers.
Joe says
So
flying
it would be the
spaghetti
newest big
monster.
religion in the world, I think. Yeah.
Come up, Joe.
all right. Well, as much fun as it is to talk about random religions, let's actually chat about Canada. Let's chat about what's happening. Let's chat about the election.
Yeah.
It's early voting is happening in a week and a half. So, did you guys all get your voter cards? Are you going to be early voting? Or are you going to be waiting till the 28th? What's everybody doing?
Nothing in our mail yet. How about you guys?
I got mine the other day, and I always
Okay.
like to vote on the day of. That just seems to be a tradition for
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
We go
early
early.
voting so that I can be here on Beaver Politics doing a 24-hour live.
Oh,
or
cool.
I don't know if
Oh,
we're going to go
really?
48 hours. We're either going to do 48 hours, 36 hours, or 24. We haven't 100% hashed that out yet, but we are going to be doing a full
Okay.
election coverage on that day. And I'm really hoping that we get to celebrate at the end of it.
I think we should.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't have my voting card yet, and I'm going to be going on the day of because I find it exciting. I like to see the other community members, gathering.
Yeah.
I like talking to people and just seeing people. It's like to me, I don't know, it's kind of geeky, but I think like it's almost like an event, you know?
So, you guys, how long do you think it'll be before they call the election?
What do you mean call the election?
The networks go, that's it. We declare whatever majority, minority.
Oh, gotcha.
After Ontario and Quebec are when most of Ontario and Quebec are counted, that's when they call it, because usually
it can be called pretty quick.
Yeah, 10:30, 11 o'clock, pretty much.
You know, you should do a kind of a little
time.
A little poll.
We have a good idea, so
8, 9, Western time.
Western time, yeah. Exactly.
You should do like Beaver. You should do like a little contest where you people predict the exact time they call it.
Good idea.
And what network? Maybe even make it more complicated. What network and when will they call it?
Start a little fund. Everyone throw in $1. Whoever wins, donate 75% of it to like some cause we all agree on or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think
they're
going to call it about 2 hours after. I think it's going to come in pretty quick.
Yeah,
you guys agree?
Probably.
Yeah,
I do.
After the Ontario and Quebec polls close,
If
2
Quebec
hours
votes
after that.
Liberal, like it seems to be leaning that way, and Ontario holds the way it's looking, then they could call it early. Yeah.
What do you guys think? Are conservatives gaining some ground?
No, a little bit right now.
No.
Yeah. You agree,
They
I
are.
think, don't you? Yeah.
Where have you seen that?
Where have you seen that?
In the polls.
Yeah.
The gap is getting a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
They're
Just
getting
overall,
feisty,
or-
right?
Huh?
Really?
They're getting feisty.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
some
it's,
people are getting fooled by the crowd sizes at the rallies. But
Well, what they polled and what they saw is that there's still the people that are going to vote conservative are like 100% in. We're going to vote conservative no matter what. Nothing can change us. But everybody on the progressive side, there's still a good 20-30% of the progressive side that goes, I don't know yet. I'm waiting.
Yeah, maybe I'll vote.
I guess we'll see after the debates. I think the debates will make a big difference.
I am just so sick and tired of hearing the lost liberal decade.
Yeah.
I swear, if I hear that one more time, every time I hear that, my brain just shuts off.
I think PP is going to annoy so many Canadians during those debates that's it. It's over.
The thing though is he was supposed to distance himself away from being like Trump, but he is not. He is doing the exact same type of campaigning to a T.
Yeah.
And I swear to God that the people in Canada that say that they don't like Trump, but they're still voting conservative are either lying to us or lying to themselves, because there's no way that you can hear PP talk and go, oh yeah, I saw the exact same thing in the States, but you know what? I'm going to back this. Like at the end of the day, I think they secretly support Trump. I really do. I really do.
Beaver, you've seen how he talked to that reporter yesterday, and he did it again today. Two reporters today during his presser were yelling questions at him. He ignored them, eh? That was so rude. That was so rude. And then he called the reporter a protester?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what they're doing they're allowing 4 questions from 4 pre-selected journalists, right?
And no follow-up.
That's fascism, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's eliminating a free press.
Plus, he didn't allow the press to ride on his plane.
Everyone on the other side is that, but Carney just talks to the CBC. Carney called out the girl from the lady from the Globe and Mail today.
Yes.
Your source was wrong. You're promoting this, and it's not right. Da da da. And at least he's taking questions from some sort of opposition or someone who's challenging him. But PP is not taking anything from anyone who doesn't make him look good, and that's ridiculous. Like, it's never been this way before.
I heard 2 things today that might be a little bit hard for Carney. I don't know how true they are. But I heard my Jewish friend sent me a text about Carney is calling it the G word in the watermelon place, and that means like the Jewish voters are not going to vote for him. I also heard that the new candidate that took over the guy who threatened to bring the guy to the Chinese consulate, he's connected to the I don't know how, but to the Chinese government, and now they're saying that of course Carney is in with the Chinese government, blah 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 blah. So I don't know how true these are, but I
well, isn't that what Carney? Yeah, that's the Globe and Mail piece. That's the Globe and Mail piece. Crap. That was not fact-checked properly.
Zionists are always conservative anyway, right? I mean, I don't want to say this in the wrong way on this thing, but the progressive Jewish people who are for peace in Gaza, I think they'll still lean towards Carney, but Zionists are very conservative, right? So
yeah. Well, and there's Zionist Christians too, because the really hardcore Christians who are Zionists also want what's happening there to keep on happening, because the evangelical Zionist Christians think that
they want to wipe out the Palestinians,
lead to revelations and the rapture.
Oh well, they can get rid of anyone they don't like here in Canada, then, right? So.
Yeah, I was going to say though, in terms of that, Sean, I actually don't think that's going to go against him. I think that it's actually going to work out really well for him, because all the progressives, most of them are pro watermelon place. Like most people that are against Watermelon Place and pro-Israeli government are not voting progressive no matter what. They would not be voters for the NDP, for the Liberals, for the Green Party. Like they might be Bloc Québécois, some of them, but like that's it. That's it. He is not, by him saying that, he's actually helping his base rather than pushing it away. And from experience, like all progressive Jewish people are against what their government is doing.
100.
Yes. Agree.
Yeah.
The same way that all progressive Russians are against what their government is doing in Ukraine.
There's a very few of them, though, unfortunately.
Well, we don't know. That's the thing, is that because they're in Russia. So I know from, being from that part of the world, there is a ton of people in Russia that are against their own government, but they can't talk about it, because if they talk about it, if anybody finds out that they feel that way, they could end up disappearing.
Navalny, I guess, right? Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, like, we're not going to hear about it because they don't have free media, first of all. There's been, certain journalists. Sorry, there's really loud background noise. I think, Ed, can you just mute your mic for 1 sec?
I think he's talking to his dog.
Yeah, it's okay. I muted him for now. There's a lot of people in Russia that are very, very not happy with their government, and they've been like that for a long time, but they know that they can't speak out. Right? That's why when people are like, "Oh, Canada's under dictatorship," I'm like, "You guys don't understand what that means."
Exactly. Yeah. That's always the thing that's like I've been inquisitive about, is what is Russia really like if you could go there and poll people. Like I have no idea. It always seems like it's 80%, 20% in favor of Putin and his thing.
You can't poll people though. That's the thing.
I know.
And like people that have left Russia that were against the government have been followed in other countries, and they disappeared in other countries.
That's
like
so
journalists from Russia that have fled Russia and tried to teach the world about what's going on there have been disappeared in other countries. Of course, not all of them.
Sure.
Yeah, of course, not all of them, but that is it's common knowledge, especially for Eastern Europeans that kind of like lived under that type of oppression for a long time. You don't speak up. You don't, because it's a sentence, right? Like you just don't do it. So
we all know
we're never going to really know the numbers.
Yeah. Sorry, we all know what happened to Navalny, right? And his wife and everything like that. And I'm not sure if anyone's ever heard of a band called Pussy Riot out of Russia before. They're an extremist kind of alternative, maybe a little punkish kind of band. And they've been jailed on and off for their opinions. but every once in a while they get out of jail and they're allowed to like travel to North America. And if anyone likes that style of music, I highly recommend go see these girls. They're absolutely amazing live.
Yeah. I love how we have PP supporters right now in the comment talking about the crowd sizes.
Now,
it's always about the crowd size.
Now, I had saw a post yesterday by JB Paula. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
From Toronto, right? And he was saying that the event that PP held in Edmonton was at a new facility that had Is that true? Was that true?
Yep. They did not get permits. There was no fire inspection. There was no bathrooms. 100% correct.
Why is that not thrown out? Like, why has the media not picked that up and thrown that out there?
Why has the media not done a good job for the last 4 years bringing this stuff to light? The media,
I know.
It's really funny to me because, the conservatives are constantly complaining about liberal media, biased
BBC
media, and yet our media, CTV, Global, CBC, they have written tons of negative articles about the Liberals. Tons. And barely any about conservatives. Like, we're seeing them a little bit more now, but they're very, we'll say a little bit, but we don't really want to call them out because we're scared. That's genuinely what's been happening for years.
Rosemary Barton has enough to fight with Carney. Rosemary Barton will come out and fight with Carney, and she'll do that, but she doesn't have the balls to report on actual news going on in Canada.
So a friend of mine was it lives in Windsor, and is it tonight or tomorrow night the PT rally in Windsor? It should be soon, but anyways, he said he was going to go to the place beforehand and make sure that they had all the permits in place, and if not, he was going to try to alert the media to be out front while they were going in. So I mean, it's a kind of a lame attempt at something but I mean, if they happen in Edmonton, how do we know it's not happening everywhere?
Hold on. But first of all, number one, the rally in Edmonton being huge is not a surprise. It's Alberta. It's Alberta, first of all. Second of all, progressives and conservatives have very different personalities. Most progressives do not base their entire identity on a political party. Most progressives are not even, tied down to a single party. Most progressives are actually strategic voters, and they vote for who they think the best party is at that point in time. Yeah. They're less likely to go to rallies. They're less likely to get involved in these giant political events. So to me, rally sizes don't matter.
No.
There's a lot of, there was rallies here and I didn't go because I'm pro-liberal liberals right now, of course, but I don't got time or want to go to a rally. I don't really care. It doesn't matter that much.
I hear what you're saying there. It's funny that I have a few liberal signs on my street just popped up in the last week because our candidate just was announced last Monday, and I have 5 or 6 conservative signs on my street. Yet my neighbor the other day said, "Oh, my sign was someone took it, and it was the Liberal candidate, right?" And it's the same thing that happened in the riding with Carney's riding, right, where they took all his signs. You know what I mean? Liberals don't go out and steal signs, but conservatives will go out and steal signs. It happened in the States, the same thing. You saw Republican people were getting caught stealing signs, and Democrats are I don't even care if I put a sign up on my front yard. I know who I'm voting for, so it doesn't really matter, right? So it's funny how we get painted as this, aggressive, blah blah kind of thing. And yet
but they're the ones drawing swastikas on signs.
Right? Yeah, it's always projection. So, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of TikTok videos right now going around on TikTok with, the conservative signs being dismantled or cut out, or a bunch of liberal signs being put around the conservative signs, and I mean, I've seen all kinds of those videos. Matter of fact, I just posted a video of my dog pissing on a liberal sign, because if you really look at the last 4 years, I mean, Mark Carney was advising JT on how to run our government, and
He was not advising JT on how to run our government. He came in for a temporary position during COVID because we needed some help figuring out how to manage COVID. We managed COVID really, really well. We were one of the best countries to manage it in the G7. But at the end of the day, and as an advisor, he was also an advisor for the UK, and he told them not to go through with Brexit. They went through with it anyway, and then their economy tanked because they didn't listen to him. So just because somebody advises you on something doesn't mean they're running the country. That's just a false statement.
I truly, well, it's a true statement that he was advising on
during COVID, and then he came again as an advisor in October of 2024. There was about 3 years in there where he had
running the country. I agree with what her statement was, but he was advising, and our everything has went up, like everything, our gas, our
everything
food
went up all over the world. Did you know that? Like, it was a global thing. It wasn't just Canada. Things went up in Europe. Things went up in the States. Things went up here. We underwent a giant global pandemic. We had trade routes that were disrupted by the Ukraine war. So that's also, there's something called capitalism, which creates inflation and makes prices go up every single year because corporations have to provide increasing profits to their shareholders. So as long as there's capitalism on this planet, your prices will continue to rise for the rest of your life,
and your wages will stagnate.
If you want to bring up Europe, the European Prime Minister has said that any Canadian voting for Mark Carney is foolish, and look at what Mark Carney done.
That's not true at all.
Which, hold on, let's ask him who.
Videos going around about this lady saying that.
You mean Liz Truss, the one that was prime minister for 48 days and sucked really badly and did some terrible things? That's who you're listening to, a 48-day prime minister that was a conservative? Wow. Amazing.
Way,
I should totally believe her.
She wasn't the leader of the EU. She was a 1 month prime minister who didn't listen to Carney, and that's why Brexit happened, and that's why England went down the tubes. If they listened to Carney, it would have worked out properly.
Taking to Liz is the biggest joke.
That's like being a Joe Clark plan.
When you see the videos of the UK fighting against their government because and protesting against their government because of how badly their government has been ran, well, Mark Carney had control over everything.
You're just listening to conservative news sources, and this is actually what we were talking about. The same conservatives here, the same conservatives in the States, the same conservatives in Europe, all work together trying to place right-wing governments in power under the IDU.
Yes,
it's been happening for a long time, and so of course the conservatives are gonna say negative things like.
You can't speak over her. You're going to have to let her speak. That's how it works here. We're very civilized. And then when she's done speaking, you may speak. Thank you.
It's okay, I'm done.
Okay,
but when you're done speaking, Charles, someone's going to counterpoint it, and you have to allow them to speak as well.
Continue. He'll come. He can unmute. And
I wasn't done speaking, and of course the liberal lady has to start speaking over me and continuing to speak over me, because that's the way you liberals work. You don't want to hear the truth. You don't want to see the truth. You don't want to see that somebody is actually out there wanting to fight for Canadians and make Canada a better place. You guys don't want to see that there's somebody that actually has spent time and effort into to making a, a place for Canadians to actually live in a peaceful area. No, you want to say that bringing terrorists into our country is a good thing. You see these people on the streets of Toronto saying death to Canadians and burning the Canadian flag, and you see all kinds of foreigners in our country stealing cars and being released the very next day, and then 5 and 6, 7 or 8 times they're being caught and just
Charles,
re-released.
I just want to make sure you don't have a lighter in your pocket. I know you're carrying a lot of accelerator on you. I just want to make sure you're totally in a safe space now. Just make
I am
sure.
in a safe space. I am in a safe space.
So
And-
can
and
I ask a question of Charles?
Canada.
I'd love to ask a question of Charles.
Go ahead.
Hey, Charles, so which one of Pierre Poilievre's policies is going to help Canada be progressive and see what you want? Like, which policy is going to make Canada look how you want it to look?
Okay, so I will admit right now, because I'm a conservative person, coming from Newfoundland, living in Ontario. Okay, so Newfoundland was always an extreme liberal area. We are like Newfoundland are liberals. We are extreme liberal people. Now that don't mean the liberal government. We're liberals. We
Can you please answer the question that she asked you? She asked you which policy.
Oh, here you go, liberal again.
I'm wondering the
Liberal
same
government again.
I'm just trying to conserve the time. Like she asked you about the policy. I just wanted you to answer her. That's all.
It's 9 o'clock at night. Are you all going anywhere?
No, but we for some of us are in Eastern Canada. Some of us do have lives. Like I can't, I'm gonna have to take more people on the panel. I just don't want to waste any time. So she asked you about policy. Can you please answer her question?
You want more liberals on there? Okay, that's okay. Listen, one of the big policies that he's promoting right now is 15% less taxes for the smaller income people. Now I won't see that. I'm not going to see that because I'm in the higher tax bracket, so I won't see that. But like for the smaller, people that are working at like Tim Hortons, McDonald's, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, can I get this one, Beaver? 15% tax cut is not a 15% tax cut. It's a tax cut on the lower 15%, which works out to 2.25%. So I'll let you take it, Beaver. Sorry.
Like I just said, I won't see it. I won't see it because I'm in a higher tax bracket than the people that are going to see it.
Okay, but can we just acknowledge that it's a 15% cut on the 15%, so it's a 2.25 tax cut? Also, quickly, hold on.
Okay.
Where is he going? No.
Let me finish. Please let me finish. Okay. So those people and the people, those people that are on welfare that are saying, you know what, I make more money living on welfare than I would going to Tim Hortons and working, or going to fucking McDonald's working.
No one makes more money on welfare than a job.
Those people are actually going to say, you know what?
That is a fallacy.
Working at
What
working at Tim Hortons or McDonald's or Walmart or whatever. So those people that are on welfare country money is actually going to be able to say, I'll make more money working. So I will go to work. My next door neighbor right now says, if Pierre Poilievre gets in, I will make more money if I go to work at Walmart. I will get off welfare. That's what my next door neighbor says.
Charles, hold on
whatever.
Charles, hold on. Let me handle this.
You're telling me you make more money on welfare than working?
Charles, hold on.
Now you
Charles,
guys
one at a time. One at a time.
You guys have a great night.
Charles, you make more money than the bottom tax bracket in Canada, yet you live next door to someone on welfare? That doesn't make any sense. It sounds like you're living in you're living way below your means. If you're making like above tax brackets 2 and 3, why are you living next door to someone who makes less than $25,000?
Hold on. That I mean, who maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. It's hold on. Welfare is welfare checks for a single person are way less than you would be making if you were working at McDonald's or Tim Hortons for a minimum wage job. First of all, second of all,
no, that's not true. That's not true. People on welfare that have
Charles, you're the only person that continues to interrupt. There's not special rules for you.
McDonald's.
Everyone in my neighborhood is middle class, Charles. We don't live next. I wish someone who was on welfare could live next door, but they can't. They can't. The rent would be on a house next door to me would be $2,000 a month.
Beaver, how much would somebody at McDonald's make average a year versus what they get in welfare?
$17 an hour times 40 hours a week times 52 weeks a year.
Yeah. I don't think you get paid $17 an hour when you collect welfare.
Hold on.
So I live in Chippewa, Niagara Falls, Ontario. My next door neighbor is on welfare, and he makes enough. Him and his wife, with 2 children, with their child tax benefit, and what they get, welfare pays their rent, and they get so much more money for food and groceries, and during the carbon tax era, they were getting a whole bunch of money during the carbon tax era.
No more than $1,000 a year, like anyone else.
I don't know how much it was because I didn't get any of it. I didn't get a damn
Everyone
cent of it.
got it.
But everything
I did not because
then you didn't pay your taxes, Charles.
My ex-wife takes my takes my taxes. Thank you very much. So I don't know how much it is. I just do my taxes at H&R Block. My taxes go off. My ex-wife gets my taxes, my rebates, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how much everybody was getting. I have no idea.
Charles, can I ask you a question?
My next door neighbor.
Talk for a second. I have the chart. If you guys want to hear what the person makes.
My next door neighbor.
What income bracket are you in? What income bracket are you in?
I just wanted to say a single person on income support in Alberta gets under $1,000 a month. I'm looking at the chart right now.
Charles, what income bracket?
2 children, $1,200.
Ontario, I just looked it up for Niagara Falls, like he's talking about. Single person gets a maximum $733 a month.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But don't tell me, I've lived off of it.
So if Charles can unmute himself, I'd like to know what income bracket he's in, that he makes so much money, yet he's still letting H&R Block do taxes.
Well, I mean, okay, let's.
That's not productive conversation.
I mean, that does mean something. Come on.
No, it doesn't. That's not productive conversation. Because even when I was making a decent amount, I used H&R
for the local 18 Carpenters Union in Ontario. So if you want to look up how much money I make, go ahead.
Why do you let H&R Block do your taxes?
But who cares? Like, who cares if he lets H&R Block do his taxes?
It doesn't matter. I think what he's doing is lying right now. He's lying.
No,
he's not.
It doesn't matter.
Misinformed and lying isn't like to be. I'm going to be frank with you. I talk to people all the time, and being misinformed and lying are 2 very different things. And you're making judgments of Charles based off of the things that he's saying, which can be misinformed, and that's okay. But it's completely disingenuous conversation to be putting him down for that.
UBC, look at this.
We changed the topic.
We're going right to a new meeting to fight for more money and all that kind of stuff. There you
But
go.
Charles,
I'd like to
I was just going to say,
Ontario.
I'd like to speak to the topic, if you don't mind, because I recently applied for income support. So I'm a person with disabilities. My husband only makes 18 per hour at his security job. We do not live off of a scream in hell. We are lucky we pay the rent that we do, which is $1,500 per month. But because of the combination of child tax, the $700 a month I get from WCB still, and my husband's $18 an hour job, we don't even make enough for income support. So the people, or we make too much. We make $2,000 over the limit for income support when we're struggling on the daily. So when it comes to talking about income support, and it's not, I want you to change the way you say it, because it's not welfare, it's income support. It's support for people who are still working. Because if somebody can't work because of disabilities, they go
I
to a disability
apologize for the
program.
way that I said that. For someone in your situation, I apologize for the way I said that.
Yeah, and I think you need to understand that a lot of Canadians are going through this, and the way that you're talking about your neighbors living off of income support is disparaging, because hell, who knows? Maybe they have a disability. Maybe the husband can't go to work. Maybe they have a young child and can't afford daycare. But there's a reason why these programs are in place, and it's to help keep families like that out of poverty. I'm glad that they're able to take care of their rent and their groceries and the things that they need based off of those social programs.
100% that there is people that really need it and they deserve to get it. My next door neighbor does not deserve to get it.
How do you know?
Because he's all the time on Percocets and smoking weed and drinking booze, and all he wants to do is exactly what I just said.
So what you're saying is that he's got mental health issues.
Yeah.
You're saying,
she's actually a good person, and he's just a drug addict that's dragging this woman
so
down.
addicts are bad? Addicts don't get help now?
Yes, they are.
Guy.
So hold on. I've worked with people that are struggling with addiction for over the past decade. A lot of those people are not bad people in any way, shape, or form. Usually what leads people to start using is trauma. And a lot of the times it's actually from, say, like having an accident and being put on painkillers by the doctors in the first place. And then they end up having a really, really hard time being able to get off of it because it's the most addictive. It's some of the most addictive substances on the
Newfoundland. And when you Google Philip Butler.
Sorry, I'm going to keep muting you because you keep speaking over me. You definitely did not like how people spoke over you earlier, but you've been doing it to everybody on the panel. So we need to stop stigmatizing people with addiction. They are people that require help, especially government help. They require mental health help. There is a very, good reason that people unfortunately turn to that, because for most of them it's self-medication. And I've, read into the psychology of addiction by many, many, many people throughout my life. And the common denominator is trauma that has not been dealt with. And for you to stigmatize everybody who has an addiction problem as a bad person does not help any of those people. It makes things worse.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know what? As a person, I've lived on the street before, and you know what? I got help from the government, and since then, I've gotten my red seal in electrician. I work in a mine now. Like some people just need time, and they need help, and I'm willing for my taxes in Canada to go and pay for people to get that help that they need. And when we lift each other up instead of tearing each other down, we can create a community that we are proud to be in. And that has always typically been Canada. And it's people who are divisive and yelling at each other instead of lifting each other up. And I'm so tired of it.
You're entirely correct. Thank you very much.
And I also wanted to add real quick so that we can get on this topic. When it comes to cutting those taxes by 2.25%, where does that money then come from? If he's cutting those taxes, where does that money then come from?
Okay,
where's the government going to get that money to continue funding the social programs that we need for people in need?
Cutting programs, that's where it comes.
So you all want to cut me down for saying that people on addictions are trauma, blah 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 blah. Listen, my old man committed suicide when I was 12 years old. He burnt himself to death in a car. When I was in 2018, I killed my brother because he attacked me in my own house.
Because you're going to get us taken down. You're using words that
he attacked me in my own house. And I did what I had to do, and I went to, and you guys can Google Philip Butler, Newfoundland, and you can read it all. I was looked at by the media as an addicted person to crack cocaine. I am now living in my own house. Now I'm paying a mortgage, so the bank owns it. But I'm living in my own house, supporting my children back home in Newfoundland, supporting my wife here in Ontario, and the programs that are out there, from most of these people are taken advantage of by these people. Now, I'm sure there's people out there like the lady that just spoke. I'm sure that there is good people out there that take advantage of these programs and they do what's right and they get forward. But there's also people like my next door neighbor that are abusing it.
So what?
And that's all I'm saying.
Who are you to judge others?
There's a lot of people that are out there abusing.
Hold on. First of all, hold on. Everybody just.
I won't go through it again.
So how's that hurting you?
Hold on. First of all, I just want to acknowledge Charles. I'm sorry that you went through that. That sounds like a really hard thing to go through, and I'm sorry for your loss. Second, though, I do want to say that you can't just, like, right now you're talking about as if the majority of people that use these programs are taking advantage of them, whereas you don't know. But there's always going to be people on this planet that take advantage of certain programs, no matter what. That's always going to happen. But does that mean that because of those people, the people that actually need them shouldn't be getting them? Because there's a lot more people that actually benefit. When we do look at statistical analysis and see which people actually benefit, it is the majority of people that benefit. Do some people take advantage? Sure, but that's not the majority of them. For the majority of people, they need it in order to have a normal life. So to stigmatize, again, you are stigmatizing a majority of people, and it's not the case.
I've lived in Newfoundland, and I see the people that are using the programs, we'll call it, and they don't need it. I have family that is doing the exact same thing that I'm complaining about, and it's just too easy.
Yeah. Charles, do you know how many people in Newfoundland lost their jobs because of the fisheries? So they've been traumatized too, eh?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And then we look at the Liberal government that won't even talk to these people, but when the Conservative government goes into town,
what are you talking
they're invited in. The fishermen are invited in.
Do you know how many cuts Harper
made to fisheries when he was in
power? Do you know how many cuts Harper made to fisheries when he was in power? Huge cuts. So that's not true.
Charles, what makes you judge and jury over each person that's going through their particular, like, what gives you the right? I heard you say that a lot of people judged you and they got you wrong and they got the situation wrong. But what I'm hearing you do is kind of your judge over everyone and deciding whether they deserve it or not. You don't know everybody's personal decision information, but you decided that they're unworthy. And you didn't like it when people treated you that way. You're interrupting me. You didn't like it when people treated you that way, but now you're doing the exact same thing and you're vilifying people the same way you were vilified.
I'm vilifying my next door neighbor because I see a situation.
You are vilifying everyone in your community that you don't see on your level.
I'm vilifying people in Newfoundland that I grew up with that are able-bodied working people.
I asked you a question. What
I'm
gives you the
vilifying.
right to judge everyone else?
I'm answering your question, but in a liberal way. I'm vilifying people that are destroying our country by doing what they're
Many
doing.
people have said the same thing about you, and you didn't like it.
Prove
And
them
now
wrong.
you're doing that to other people.
But I
How do
proved
the
them
two
wrong.
equate to you?
I proved them wrong.
Yeah, so give the others a chance to prove you wrong.
Then I hope
You didn't prove anything wrong.
do.
Right now, it's just your word you're saying. I have no proof of that about you. You're just saying it, and I have to take you at your word. So you haven't proven anything.
What haven't I proven?
Anything. You're just vilifying a group of people. And you're saying you didn't like to be vilified. So you haven't proven anything. You're just a person in a box talking. We don't know your history or your background.
There's my Ram truck. There's my
May I
there's
talk
my
a little
Honda
bit about
car.
the programs and how they work?
My wife
I would love that.
Charles, may I? Thank you. So many programs for people, whether they're on disability, whether they're on AISH here in Alberta, or whatever the different programs are across the provinces, because income support ultimately is dealt with by the province, ultimately is regulated by the province. So when it comes, I'll speak for WCB specifically. So my situation, I had my right leg below the knee amputated in 2020 from an injury I sustained in 2016. Okay, I lost a leg because of an injury at work. I am still now, after going to school and struggling to find work, lost the income guarantee that I had because they expect me to be able to work full time, won't recognize the heart condition that I now have because of the trauma from that amputation, because of what my body went through during the amputation surgery. There are, as much as you're saying people take advantage, there are many people who try to use these programs that have been put in place and struggle just to be recognized that something is wrong or that they need help. There are many people that apply for income support, WCB, CPP disability, whatever program you want to talk about, they apply to them 5, 6, 7 times, and it takes them years to be approved, even when they have very clear reasons to be approved. So as much as I understand from your own anecdotal and personal experience that you're saying that people take advantage of the system, there are so many people that deserve help that are not given it because of the bias that you are putting, that I'm not, and I don't want to say people like you, but people with your mindset are putting into people's minds that anybody that needs income support just needs to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get to work and take care of themselves. What about somebody that can't? What about somebody that I've been I've been doing bartending events, and after an event, I'm laid up for 3 days. How am I supposed to be able to work a full-time job when I can't work a full 8-hour shift without being laid up for 3 days? But I'm still expected to find full-time work. This is the problem that everyone is having with what you're saying, Charles, is that you are saying the majority of people that use these programs are quite literally taking advantage of the system, when that's not the case, because the majority had to fight to even get into that system. If you have to fight to get into it, and if it's somebody that's like, oh, I just want to take advantage of it, they're not going to fight and apply 5, 6, 7 times just for the chance that they could get on some kind of income support, so that they don't have to completely ruin themselves to work full-time hours and take care of their family and feel like they're going to be okay. Like this is the situation that we're in. Because of the cutting that has been done in the past, many of these programs are very difficult to even be approved for.
So can I go now? Because I haven't gotten to really talk for a little bit. So first of all, I know they've done studies on people who take advantage, quote unquote, of the system, and they've come out with numbers. About 5 to 8% of people who are on these programs abuse the system. So 5 to 8% really isn't that many people. Second of all, if you want to talking about wasteful government money, Pierre Poilievre lived in Ottawa. However, he took the Stoneway home he has a gardener, he has a private chef, he has a driver, he has everything. Plus, he gets an extra $180,000 a year to upkeep of Stoneway. So, if you want to get mad at people abusing the system, maybe look at Pierre Poilievre.
All parties get the exact same treatment that Pierre Poilievre.
No, they do not. Pierre Poilievre spent $1.2 million last year alone. You can look this up. This is on the government websites. You can look at the spreadsheets where it says how much each politician has spent. The Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau at the time, spent nearly $500,000 less than Pierre Poilievre did. $500,000 less.
So the Liberals just took over $2 billion without a vote. Like, they just took that money. They absolutely just took that money for absolutely there's no reason, rhyme, or any vote that went on it. Like, it's totally against democracy. It just took.
What is this that you're talking about? This is the second time I've heard a conservative talk about this. Beaver, are you in front of a computer, or sorry, you're not Beaver?
I think I know what he's talking about. They took out $40 billion to pay bills. These bills were due for various different programs. So Carney used the council order, or whatever it's called, for $40 billion to pay bills that the Canadian government owed, which is totally legal and totally appropriate, especially during a election campaign where the parliament is not sitting. So I don't know where you're getting this from, but if it's some sort of Andrew Tate YouTuber, it's fake news, buddy.
No, it's totally not. But anyway, and like most of the money that has been spent in the last 10 years has not been towards Canadians. It's been spent towards countries that don't have anything to do.
Charles, what about the dental plan?
So much what?
What about the dental plan? That's money spent for Canadians.
Well, I honestly get a job that has a dental plan.
Well, there are people like myself who can't get a dental plan because when it was decided that my job, I could not go back to being a lineman and climb power poles. I was released from TELUS without benefits and could not get benefits for 5 years. So you're telling me people like me don't deserve a dental plan?
I mean, I don't know everybody's personal situation, but
the dental plan is specifically for people that don't have a dental plan.
I do know that I pay into a medical plan and insurance plan and a dental plan through the job that I have, and like I got great teeth and I got great bones and I got like great health going on.
But what about people that don't have that privilege?
Well, it's not a privilege.
It is a privilege.
It's something that I work really hard to get, so it's not a privilege.
It's 100% a privilege.
It's a privilege to have a human body that can withstand that work. There are people with disabilities that cannot do that.
My dad had a broken back and was on long-term disability my entire life. Like I said earlier, he committed suicide when I was 12. He burnt himself to death in a car. We had an insurance plan. He paid for that. I grew up in a house in Newfoundland with no money, but my parents made sure that we had what we needed.
What about people that come here
using Canada?
Charles, can you stop for a second? Can you understand that is your personal one-person experience, and that other people have different experiences than you, and their life is just as important and just as valid as your life is?
100%. But my family, my parents, they worked hard to be able to provide. Like my dad didn't work, but he made sure that we had what we needed. My mother, after my dad died, she went to work as a caretaker to care for people with disabilities so that we could continue to have what we had. She kept, like, my dad committed suicide, so there was no insurance paying off the mortgage.
We gotta stop saying that. You can say self-unaliving, but that word does get lives banned.
I'm sorry, I apologize. But after he did that, my mom took care of people so that we were able to continue to live with the benefits that we had. We didn't have much. I took my first job when I was like 13 because I wanted a new pair of sneakers to go to school with. Like September was coming up. I swept a parking lot at the local pizza store so that I could get a new pair of sneakers. I worked. My family worked. We did what we had to do. We didn't abuse Canada.
Neither does everybody else. You're like so self-righteous right now.
Hold on, but there's like, also. Go ahead. Sorry, love-based.
It's just driving me nuts. Oh, my mother worked. My parents worked too, full time. Most of the time, they had to carry 2 jobs. Like, Lord, for the love. I used to live in Goose Bay, Labrador. I used to live in Clark's Beach. My father worked on the side, pulling the kippers in all the time. You were not the only person in Canada that had to work, and neither is your family, and the world doesn't revolve around you. Step out of your shell for 2 seconds and look at all the other people besides you and your knowledge. If you take a minute and sit with it, you might discover something new.
Can I just say something very quick?
Yes, Joker.
Yes, I'm in Montreal, Quebec, and I'm on welfare right now. The more that it goes, the more that they cut money. The food banks are shutting down. People like me have no access to food banks, but we get told every day to go to work because we're lazy, because this, because that. Sorry, my English is struggling. The houses pricing is so crazy. Like the landlords are just taking advantage of people, putting it in the street. More homelessness will be this year, and people, because of homelessness, not all of them, but a lot of them are going into supervised injection site where I worked with a lived experience. And I can just tell you the amount of trauma and crisis right now. Nobody could survive a day working there, without a life experience, without the knowledge. I can just tell you that people need to have empathy towards people in addiction, and what people need, whether they take substance or not, it's empathy. No matter, I don't understand the morality applied there. If you welcome people that struggles with empathy, there will be change. But no, don't expect people to just stop. Listen to people who struggle. That's what I have to say.
Joker, I just want to say thank you for doing the work that you do. Because I'm working in a homeless shelter here in my neck of the woods, and I'm dealing with walking in to spaces where people are using, and tent villages, and we can all sit back and think and surmise and suppose, but until you're actually seeing what people are going through and you're using that empathy chip that we have, suddenly it kind of changes a little bit. So I really, really appreciate you, Joker Girl, for pointing that out in such an eloquent way that I was failing to do. So thank you.
And I would like to also say I appreciate the work that you do as well, even though I've come off as as being the way that I am. I will say that I do appreciate right now in these times, people like yourself are extremely appreciated by a lot of people. There are a lot of people out there that need people like you. And I do appreciate the work that you're doing. I really do, 100%. And like you did say earlier that you were on welfare, and doing this work, like someone like yourself, if you're taking government assistance and you're helping your community, my heart goes out to you. I can appreciate someone like you. I have total respect, and I kind of envy you a little bit, like a little bit, because you're able to take the right steps. Like, you're in a situation where you need to take government support, but you're also out supporting your community. And that is absolutely fantastic. And I can't express how much that I appreciate you, because there's people in my life.
You keep saying this, but can I cut in and say?
Like, yes, please say something. You got to get it out, Charles, because it's going on a lot.
I'm done. I just appreciate you, girl. I appreciate you.
And I appreciate that you appreciate her, but at the same time, you're making it sound like she is like a very tiny little exception in the pool. Whereas I think that you think very differently, in that she is, in many ways, the norm. She is just doing what she needs to get by, and income support is helping.
Okay, so if there was more.
Can I just add something real quick? So amazing. Again, Joker, amazing. I love that. But you're pro the party that would make it harder for her to get government assistance.
I am pro her, and I am pro conservative, because conservatives are for people like her.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
They're not.
No, they are not.
How are they?
No, they are not.
Because any conservative that you speak to, if you are out supporting your community in these times and taking support from our government, but you're still out being progressive and doing something,
Charles,
then
I work at a homeless shelter, Charles, my friend. I work at a homeless shelter, and I was helping a lady up off the ground. I was working on doing CPR for her, and a conservative man came up and started telling me I was wasting my time and I was wasting taxpayers' money, and I shouldn't be doing that for that person.
And you're sure.
And what the heck was I doing?
But
that was just
under testing. I'm conservative.
one
policy wise, though, conservatives want to cut public programs that would go to support people like her. So it doesn't matter what conservatives think in terms of how conservative voters feel. It matters what the Conservative Party would do to our public programs. And that's the point that I was trying to make earlier, that if you are going to cut 2.25% from income tax, that ends up being $14 billion over the course of the year, which ends up being about the same amount that we spend on a lot of our public programs. So again, when I said, how is he going to make up for that income loss for the government? It's going to come from cutting programs that would be helping people like her. It would be cutting child tax care benefits. It would be probably cutting dental care, like not keeping the program going, because that's how PP answered it. He said everybody that's on it will stay on it, but what happens to all the people that are trying to get on it? They are going to cut programs that help people that are struggling. And the other point I wanted to make earlier too, when we were talking about like our parents working really hard so they could make money for their kids, we don't live in those times anymore. Technology has changed everything. Technology technology is making jobs obsolete. There's not as many opportunities. It's much harder these days to be able to make enough money to support your family as a single parent than it was 50, 60 years ago. So all of that has to be taken into account. Like, I'm just wondering, how does a person like you feel about, say, something like UBI? Would you be universal basic income?
I'm totally against it.
Why?
Because my skill set has put me somewhere where I make a certain amount of money. I don't want somebody.
But it's not about you.
Well, it is about me. UBI is about me.
I think he misunderstands how UBI works.
Okay, go ahead. Maybe I do. Go ahead.
I can explain UBI.
Yeah.
Go for it, Valkyrie.
So UBI, a universal basic income, is an amount that every Canadian across the country above the age of 18 would receive. Generally, the pilot amount has been $2,000 per month. It's been piloted in Ontario and other provinces. I can't remember what the city specifically was in Ontario that it was piloted in. I wish I can maybe pull up the numbers here in front of me as soon as my computer restarts. But what happens when you give a universal basic income? What you do is you move funds from other programs into paying for that universal basic income. So, for example, the amount we spend on poverty is about $190 billion a year. Spending the price of poverty isn't just isn't actual social programs. The price of poverty is like your police officers having to go to calls for people that are homeless, take them to hospitals, go take people that have OD'd to the hospital to be checked. It's the public funding for acute care of people experiencing homelessness and poverty. Okay. The next step would be that it would remove the need for programs like AISH or income support or anything like that, because it would replace those programs with a universal basic amount. Every Canadian would receive that universal basic amount of $2,000 per month, which means you pull families in poverty out of poverty. The point of universal basic income is to help pay for your everyday bills, like your rent, food prices, all those kinds of things. Speaking from experience, I'm a family of 5 with 3 children. Like there's my husband and I and 3 children, and it's quite expensive. So if my husband and I each received $2,000 per month, that means that the money that we have, that we get from working, could actually go into savings. We do not have a savings account right now because it's quite literally impossible. It is impossible for us. All of our money right now goes to groceries and bills to survive. So the point of a universal basic income is to 1, lift people out of poverty, 2, put money back into the economy, because once people are feeling like the money they make at their job, they could spend on, say, luxury items or going on a family trip or doing things within their country, within their community that could cost money, that puts money back into the economy. I believe it was a 60% boost to the economy in the pilot project in the city that was done. So there was a 60% boost to the economy in that city alone. It also brought down poverty by, I can't remember what the number is specifically, but it pulls the people in poverty out of it, and it creates the value of people is the value that we should be worried about is the value of the people in Canada. The happiest countries in the world take care of their citizens in a way that they all feel like they can enjoy life and not think that they have to work 16 hours a day just to get by. So they could spend time with their family, spend time doing things with the people they love.
So my taxes would go up. I'd be taxed more on the hours that I work.
UBI could be completely done by cutting the price of poverty. No, Charles, listen, this has been done and studied extensively. Okay. It could be done by moving money from the price of poverty, the current programs that we have, and stopping corporate welfare. Last year alone, I believe it was last year, $920 billion was given in corporate welfare. $920 billion.
Okay. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so First of all, I just want to say, Charles, you seem like a good guy. Okay, I have no negative feelings towards you, and I really appreciate that you want to better Canada. The whole point of what we're talking about is we want to make Canada better as well. We just see it in two different ways. The way we're seeing it, like with UBI, for instance, is lifting people out of poverty, like Valkyrie said. And once, like, if let's say we had UBI, a lot of other things would costs would go down. For instance, when there's less poverty, there's less crime. Less crime needs a lot less police. A lot less police means more money for the government to spend elsewhere, and other things like that as well. Because these programs that we have now, like there's programs like, let's say there's a welfare program, there's I don't know, disability programs. There's programs where they pay people to, well, in Montreal anyways, that I've seen, they pay people to go around on the streets talking to homeless people, getting, offering help. Stuff like that won't be needed as much with UBI. So we would be saving money and helping people out of poverty. That's the whole point. And I know that you think taxes would go up, but if it's done properly, taxes probably would end up coming down.
So I know this from experience, not from being a racist or a piece of crap or anything like that. I know this from experience. The more money that you give to a drug addict or a homeless person that is homeless because they're on drugs, the more money that they spend on drugs. So, yeah, I don't agree with UBI.
First of all, I just want to say that I was homeless. Do you really think that you want to be homeless and sober?
I'm not saying nothing about you, Joker. I'm saying people that are
But
homeless.
you're talking directly about her.
No. I'm saying people that are homeless because they're on drugs they'll only spend more money on drugs if they get more money.
And what do you
know that
I'm
the majority
that
of
on
drug
my
addicts
life.
are not homeless, that they actually make decent money and go to work on said drugs and or said alcohol? The majority of people with addiction issues are people that live everyday lives.
I lived in Newfoundland, and most of the...
Buddy, stop bringing up your personal experience. You have very little ability to hear that and what anybody else is saying to you. You don't even want to hear when other people are giving you their experiences.
Because I lived life.
Okay, but can you look up the studies?
Did you live life in the front
streets?
I lived on the streets. I've been there. I've done all this crap that you guys think that's going to get better with giving people $2,000. I know people. My
Can I
very own cousin.
hold on? Cole, can I? Is it okay if I bring you down so I can bring JB up for a bit, and then I promise I'll bring you back up after? Are you okay with that, Cole?
Yeah, that's chill.
Okay,
Hey,
cool.
Charles, can you do me a favor when we're done here? Like, don't take anybody's word for the UBI studies. Go and look them up yourself and see what you think, because there are great benefits and they are reflected in those studies.
And I will. I'll look it up. But from life experience, you give a drug addict more money, they spend more money on drugs. Life experience. My own cousin back home
We don't interrupt here just because we've done this again and again.
Money flat out. The only reason he has a place to live is because his parents pay his rent. They give him all kinds of money. He'd literally be homeless on drugs if his parents didn't pay his rent. I know so many people.
There's a whole story about you. Like the people can say all of these things about you. I mean, you have a history, my friend.
I have
a huge history. Yes. And if people judged you the same way you are judging others right now with the crap you've done to your own family, you would be in a world of hurt if we used the same judgment that you were using upon other people. So I just please ask you to check yourself.
I no, because
check yourself.
Because I'm still being judged by a lot of people like you
probably
right now,
should.
And I'm doing great. I'm not hurting. I'm doing great. I got a great job, a great wife, a great house, a great truck, a great Jeep. I'm
your brother.
Great. I don't care what anybody else thinks about me. I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome because I worked for that.
Charles, you deserve empathy. You know that as much as everybody else.
I've been on the streets. I've been a drug addict. I've been an alcoholic. Matter of fact, I'm having one right now. I'm addicted to cigarettes. I love my job and I'm doing great. And I don't care what anybody else thinks because I'm doing amazing for me and my family.
Fight for your right to treat others terribly.
I think that just buckle up and go to work. Yeah.
JB, hello.
Hi.
Hi, JB.
First things first, Valkyrie, you knocked it out of the park as always, explaining the cost of UBI. Valkyrie knows all those numbers because she literally talks to me every single day, and I don't shut up every time I talk to somebody about stuff about, hey,
we're
care about this
family,
basic
I kinda
income.
have to.
Yeah, you kind of have to know the numbers. But Charles, I'm not sure if you know who I am, but I have been studying a basic income in this country, in Canada specifically, for the better part of 13 years. I've sat on the board for many years with UBI Works. I've sat at roundtables for pilot projects across this country about how to implement a UBI in this country. I did a TED Talk last year talking about how to implement it with costs and benefits of what it would actually do to this country. So if you will indulge me for a few minutes, Valkyrie got all the numbers down and she nailed it. We can pay for a basic income directly from the programs that it intends to replace. And I'm personally of the camp that even if we don't get rid of the corporate welfare factor of that, which is just a corporate, like one pillar, I'm totally cool with spending an extra $300 billion a year if it means that everybody is going to be lifted out of poverty. Because I know the benefits to that society is more important. Just like we spend hundreds of billions of dollars a year on healthcare as a cost because it keeps people healthy. Financial security and financial independence is really, really important for mental health. So I actually factor this inside the healthcare costs because ultimately if we are keeping people afloat, making it so they don't have to resort to living in a tent in a park in Toronto somewhere, that's okay to me. That aside, one of the things that you kept bringing up is, it'll only allow drug addicts to smoke more drugs, or it only will allow homeless people to remain homeless and blah, 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 blah. I've heard also people won't work because they're going to get $2,000 a month and that's going to pay their bills. So they're just not going to go to work. That's a very common naysay of a basic income. And it's also statistically incorrect. We actually have a pilot project that we can point to in Ontario that was unfortunately scrapped when Doug Ford came into office in 2018. But it was supposed to be a 2-year pilot project in a community just outside of Hamilton that gave everybody $2,000 a month. That $2,000 a month was unconditional. They just gave it to people. And in doing so, in the short period of time that pilot project was implemented, unemployment decreased in that community by 17%. We also saw, I'm looking at my screen for the numbers, we also saw 37% of people who are already in employment also be able to negotiate better and fairer wages for themselves. We saw a 37% increase in pay, and the average income increased in the area by 37%. 31% improved their working conditions, meaning that because they were getting $2,000 a month, they went to their job and like, yo, I'm kind of treated like shit here, eh? So they went to go find another job and felt comfortable and safe in leaving their shitty job that they didn't want to do anymore and go work for a job that they do want to do that maybe is better for them. 27% also seeked new employment for better job security. Maybe going to get a job with the city, or maybe going to get a job in a union and not having to work at Subway and McDonald's and Tim Hortons all at the same time to pay the bills. When you financially stimulate the economy, people then work harder. because they feel like there's a purpose. They're not stressed about their housing. They're not stressed about their food. They're not stressed about keeping their powers, their electricity on, and their sewage flowing. They actually can take the time to do a job what they want. But most importantly, what it did do is 88% of the participants in this pilot project had access to better food security, meaning they were getting better quality food, they were eating healthier because they could afford to do so. 69% upgraded their living conditions, meaning they got into a better apartment or maybe put a down payment on a house in order to own a house. 75% of people paid off bad debts. So they started to pay off some, maybe credit card debt that was high interest, or maybe a student loan that was being pesky and not going away, or maybe something that was in collections that they needed to settle. Like, we have the data behind this. We have a lot of data behind this. But most importantly, and one of the real big reasons why I advocate for a basic income in this country is because what it does is it gives financial security to individuals. So if an individual is in a dangerous situation like domestic abuse or kidnapping or anything like that, one of the biggest things that they have an issue leaving is they can't financially support themselves if they do. It's called financial abuse. It's a big part of the domestic abuse umbrella. And if a UBI allows one person to get out of a dangerous situation that could cost them their life if they stay, that is worth the $300 billion in cost right there. Because you are protecting people and you're putting people into a better way of life, and you don't have to print any more money, and you don't need to raise a single % of taxes. It pays for itself.
Well,
why are we not doing this?
Well, if it's not going to raise taxes, which it will, I can get behind it. But there's absolutely no way. There's no way that giving every single person in Canada $2,000 extra a month isn't going to raise or print more money.
What it actually does is it actually lowers taxes in regions where they've implemented a basic income, because there's countries that do this. Iran has had a basic income since 2011, and they have seen their income tax levels decrease, and they've seen their people's personal wealth in Iran goes up. Iran has a lot more issues than that. I'm not going to sit here and give them a free pass, but Iran does have a basic income. Finland has been testing a basic income for the better part of 3 years, and they are one of the happiest countries in the world with one of the lowest personal tax rates. New Zealand, when they did their CERB relief, or what they called CERB, or what we called CERB, their COVID relief, they just kept it going for another year. They're like, everybody gets it now for another year. We're going to pilot this. And we have so much data from this around the world in different cultures with different economies and different structure, where this reduces personal income tax levels, it increases personal wealth, pays down bad debts, and helps save people's lives. There is no data to support that it increases inflation or it increases taxes. Not a single thing.
Almost got me convinced. Almost.
You should watch my TED Talk. It's pinned on my profile. It speaks a lot better than I am right now because I had to rehearse and script it. So it's in a way better state. But this isn't a new concept. We've been studying this for decades. The first basic income pilot project that ever happened was in Manitoba in the 70s. I think it was the 70s, 60s. It was a long time ago, long before I was even alive. We've been wanting to do this in Canada for a long time, and it just takes some political willpower to do it. And you want to know who wrote in a chapter in his book about putting in a basic income? Mark Carney. It's in his book talking about how this is something that we need to do. And I'm not even getting into the arguments of what AI and automation is going to do to employment and why a basic income is essential in that argument as well. That's a whole other side of it. So
I can't get behind Mark Carney. I really can't. Somebody that has so many investments worldwide. Somebody that moved their their business from Canada to the United States. Right
That's
before
not
that's not
that's
what he
not
did,
true.
though.
They opened an office, and I'm going to point out Pierre Polyev also has investments at Brookfield. It came out a week or a half ago that he has investments at Brookfield in the exact same manner that Mark Carney probably did, which he doesn't have access to any of those investments anymore. They're in a blind trust that was given to the ethics commissioner.
I have investments in pharmaceuticals, and I don't take pharmaceuticals.
But you did.
If it's a good investment,
So you're
I'm
proving
gonna
the point
invest
right there. That just because Mark Carney has investments and is a part of the board of Brookfield, or was, I should say, was a part of the board of Brookfield. That's a company. It's corporations in Canada are considered individual people. It's not Mark Carney who's doing all these things that you don't like. It's Brookfield that's doing the things you don't like. You're mad at Brookfield, and Mark Carney just happened to be a part of that for a short period of time.
and still is.
No,
He's just stepped down because he's prime minister. He has to.
So he's not a part of it anymore.
But he's still, yeah. Whatever, however you want to look at it.
If you leave a business, you're no longer a part of that business anymore.
Let's also add that if you look on that great map that DSMOG made, right, where you can see all of the different financial links and connections to Pierre Poilievre and the CPC party, there's a lot there that have to do with the pharmaceutical sector of Canada. Just FYI, like they're also invested in that. So I don't understand what the big.
It's a good investment. If you're going to make money, you're going to make money. I'm all like, whatever you're investing in, it doesn't make it like.
But you just said that you have a problem with Mark Carney because of the investments in pharmaceutical sector, and yet there's also tons of connections and investments in the pharmaceutical sector by conservatives as well. So I don't understand like why it's okay for one party to do it but not another party to do it. That's all I'm saying.
No, and it's not that he's an investor. It's that he was part of and encouraged our old Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to block our pipelines, and is still
you have a shadier history than they do altogether.
He is still blocking. He's still against pipelines to send our oil and our natural gas to the East Coast, which would like extraordinarily make Canada richer and better than the United States.
You know what actually would make us richer and better than the United States, and you wouldn't even need to build a pipeline?
Tell us.
Nationalizing the oil industry.
And we need a national energy program for that, wouldn't we, JB?
Mm-hmm.
And who got rid of that? Who got rid of that program? Who got rid of that program? Because we had it.
Hey, do you guys remember what Petro-Canada was? That was a nationalized oil industry.
Yeah,
that was supposed to be. And a country that has nationalized their oil industry quite successfully, it's private now because they made all their money, was Norway. They had all this oil. They said, nope, this is ours. They sold it for years, put $1 trillion just in money just to have in the bank for a rainy day. Imagine just a country having $1 trillion just in reserve money. That'd be pretty great. And Canada has 10 times more oil than Norway did. Just the thought. You don't have to do the whole industry. Just one company. And the resources are, the resources are Indigenous resources, but Canada's resources in the end. So.
And it was Brian Mulroney who sold it off, didn't he?
It started with Mulroney. Mulroney started a lot of sell-off in the 80s. Not just that, with the Canadian housing something, the CMHC. The CMHC used to be part of the Bank of Canada, which used to issue mortgages to people. The reason that our grandparents all had these homes for super cheap is because their mortgages were issued by the Bank of Canada at an insanely low interest rate for 30 years that didn't renew, right? And I'm personally okay with the Bank of Canada retaking over that control. And if you're a first-time home buyer and you can show that you have income and you can pay rent, say at $2,600, then why can't you pay a mortgage at $2,600? It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Anyways, I'm gonna go. I wanted to come up and yell about UBI because I haven't done it.
Thank you. JB, I have a question.
Thank you.
How did your talk work with Red Pill last night? I heard most of it, and I was checking out just at the end. Did anything resonate?
No. The keys were given a jingle at one point. The keys came out.
The keys.
The keys were out, but no, that I knew that was a lost cause. There was no working with that person. But
you did a good job.
Well, I will say that I am going to look up your little.
Please do. You can go to my profile. It's the pinned video on there. I'm dressed in a suit. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
And it was a quite, all things considered, it was an amazing experience to got to do something like that and stand on a stage and talk about a thing that I've been involved in for a long, long time. It's very rewarding, right? When you get that sort of tap. But I encourage everybody to watch it. I'm better scripted, so you can read it there.
100%. I'm gonna check it out because like I didn't know anything about, like I didn't even know what it was when someone asked me about it. So I will check that out. I will do a little bit of research.
You said you were in Newfoundland?
I live in Ontario. I left Newfoundland because Newfoundland is
you have just say really you have history.
No.
You know, Newfoundland is currently doing a basic. You know, Newfoundland is currently doing a basic income for people between the ages of 65 and 67.
Well, that's a good age to do that because if you go to 40 to 18, there will be a lot of overdose.
It's the gap for CPP. So it allows people to retire at 65, but then still get an income, and they don't have to touch their CPP until 67.
Yeah, well, that's a great age because any lower, like if you go to 40s and lower, there will be a lot of overdose.
No. Charles, I'd like to get up to Love Based Life. She hasn't had a chance to speak. Thank you, JB. We appreciate you. Love Based Life.
Hi. Yeah, so just when I came on, we were talking about the election and campaign signs and whatnot.
We were.
Well, I live in North Island, Powell River area where Aaron Gunn is running.
Oh,
and,
sorry.
Yeah, so there's actually a protest on Saturday, and I really wanted to talk about that and get the message out. There's a protest at 2 p.m. in Campbell River at Aaron Gunn's office. And if anybody wants to go, it is at 206-489 Dogwood Street. And we really need some help because he said a lot of bad things about Indigenous and LGBTQ communities.
Sure.
So please come out.
Are you in our Discord?
Sorry?
You're in our Discord, right?
I am, yeah.
Would you be willing to post that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And ask other people to post it in their Discords as well.
For sure. I've been posting on Facebook. I haven't made a TikTok yet. I just haven't had time. But thank you for the opportunity for me to spread the message. And please, if everybody can share the message and get the word out. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on. I just, before you ask your question, though, I really do want to point out that Mark Carney is not against pipelines. He's actually talked about how we are going to be expanding, and the only thing that he has said is that he wants to work closely with the Indigenous people to make sure that it's done properly in a way that doesn't affect the environment as badly and that gets their approval and makes sure that they are involved every step of the way. So if you're going to bring up the whole like no pipe, no, hold on. If you're going to,
Pierre said. Exactly what Pierre said.
Except there's a big difference between how Pierre's actions and what he has said about Indigenous people, the way that he praises people like John A. MacDonald, which literally were, can I say G-side? Yeah.
G-side.
yeah, he supported the G-side of Indigenous people in Canada. When he went up to Nunavut to talk about the military, he didn't even check in with them. He didn't even talk to them. He didn't even consider them. So just because he says, oh, we're going to make Indigenous people so rich, if you look at everything that he's done, his actions, the way that he's voted in the past, the things that he said about them in the past, he doesn't care about Indigenous people. He's just saying that because he's campaigning. Whereas Mark Carney has actually went and talked to a lot of the Indigenous populations in Canada, talked to them about these things. When he went up north, he actually stood by them, talked to them first, got their support, and then said how he was going to do things, including them. Very different than Pierre just going up there as basically a photo op to say, oh, we're going to do this, but never even spoke to them, never even spoke to any of those nations.
It's funny because, like, I know from experience when Mark Carney came into some of the factories in Ontario, they had to dress their own people up as workers, but yet when Pierre came in, we all actually went up and like shook the man's hand, like we were all excited for this, but Mark Carney had to literally dress his camera crew up as workers.
Do you have a fact check for that? Like, I'd love to see the article about that.
I don't need to fact check it because I was there.
You were at the Mark Carney rally.
Nobody wanted anything to do with Mark Carney.
We need a fact check.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there.
Here's the thing. If that's true, because I went to the Mark Carney rally in Calgary a few days ago here. If
I
that's
could say I was
true,
there too.
why did the line wrap McMahon Stadium for the Carney rally?
I didn't. Well, I wasn't there for that, but
I was. I have videos on my page. I have videos on my phone. I was personally present.
I'll go look at the page
to see what it was like. And I don't know if you know how big McMahon Stadium is. McMahon Stadium can hold 45,000 people. The line to go inside wrapped around McMahon Stadium.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I also saw on the news, and you know, it was also a bunch of videos on TikTok that when Mark Carney went to Newfoundland and the fishermen wanted to speak to him, there was literally 100 people in his little conversation that in his thing, and there was
I'm gonna find the fact check for that.
Fishermen outside wanting to talk to him, but he had the RCMP and the RNC keeping the fishermen outside because
are those the same fishermen that pick fights with liberals and Indigenous people?
What's that?
So here's the thing that I'm going to point out in pulling up articles, and I'm on Ground News looking at articles about this. So there's multiple different perspectives from different organizations. The majority of them say Carney acknowledges protesting Newfoundland Labrador fish harvesters during first campaign stop. If someone is protesting if people are protesting at a rally or something like that, they're allowed to stay outside, but generally they're not going to be let inside, and that's for safety purposes. You have to remember this. Mark Carney is our prime minister right now. So that's a safety thing, but protesting is always done outside of the venue.
So there was absolutely no protest and I know some of the people that were there, they wanted to go in, but because they weren't on the Liberal voting ballots, that's when they started stopping.
That's not valid, because I can tell you what the process is, because I did it 3 days ago.
Okay, well, they weren't allowed as it started, knowing that Mark Carney was there. They wanted to go in and speak to Mark Carney, and because they weren't registered as Liberal voters, I don't know what he's called, but the guy that was like, oh, okay, let me check out you, and oh, you're not a Liberal, you're not allowed in. And then
no, that's not how it works.
Protest. That's when it turned into.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
That's how the protest
both
started.
Those are yeah. But Charles, sorry, both of those are untrue. I'm sorry, but so Valkyrie's got the first one. Regards to the registration process. Go ahead.
Yeah, so registration process, if you want to go to a rally for any party, you have to register before you go and receive invitation. That's how generally most political parties do it, so that they know they can see the people that are coming and they can vet them. Because again, these are public figures. They will have security. They will have people that are there to protect them. And so in registering for the party, which is free, if you're not registering that you are a liberal voter, you're registering for the party, because you don't become a liberal voter until you vote, right? So because of that, you register for the party, you get an invitation. They send that, like the day of the rally, I received a QR code, which was my ticket to get in. If you did not have a QR code, you weren't allowed to go inside. And that is because it is essentially like a ticket to an event. If you don't have a ticket for an event, you don't go in.
And exactly how the protest started was because nobody was notified that Mark Carney.
That's not true either. The Fish Food and Allied Workers Union had organized the protest before the event even started. So this was already going to be a protest at West. Now, they did succeed in regards to the protest to actually, at least from the time of the publication of the story, but they did secure a meeting with the minister, not Carney, but the minister himself, Joanne Thompson, who we're going to be discussing with them later. But again, it was very much for specific in regards to the issues of snow crabs.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. Charles, can I ask you a question? What difference does it make how big a crowd size is at a rally? What does that have to do with how someone is going to govern and look after us as Canadians? Can you please tell me?
Well, okay, so crowd size determines whether that person is going to be elected or not.
No, that's not my question.
Nope.
That's not my question. That's not my question. My question is, what does it have to do with someone being the right man for the job? Tell me, please enlighten me, because I can't figure this out.
So it makes a difference on how people perceive that the right man for the job is going to be elected. You know what I mean? Like honestly, is Pierre Poilievre going to be the right man for the job? I don't fucking know. But I can guarantee you this.
I'm so sorry.
I'm voting that way.
I can't hold it in.
I hope that he's going to be the right man.
Going to give you a piece of advice here, Charles.
Oh, this dude is embarrassing.
You're not helping
Charles,
yourself
do you have a opinion about the rally that was held in Nisku, Alberta? I'd love to hear it.
I've never seen any of it.
You didn't see anything about the Nisku rally that was held earlier this week? It was held on, I believe it was Tuesday, the day before Mark Carney's rally in Calgary.
Never seen it.
You didn't see the what? It's been all over the news. It was the one where Stephen Harper joined him and endorsed him.
Okay. Continue.
Okay. So the rally size that they said was 15,000. The building itself, as it stands right now, when you look it up, says that it has an occupancy of 4,600. Now, I say that with how it stands right now because it was actually JB that broke this story, which is fucking wonderful. The building that they had this rally in Edmonton, number one, was built 30 days ago. 2, the fire department and the fire inspectors hadn't even inspected the building if it was even had working fire suppression, if the fire hydrants in the area were even working, or what its occupancy could possibly be. There were no working bathrooms. There were no labeled fire exits. There was nothing in place for safety. The fire department was not even made aware that they were holding the rally there. They did not have permits and they did not have liability insurance. And that's the man you want to run our country?
That was irresponsible.
Did anybody get hurt?
That doesn't matter. When you are bringing together a large crowd of people, you have responsibility. Quite literally, what he did under Alberta law is illegal.
Did anybody get hurt?
That doesn't matter. The
Why
previous
does
rally
that matter?
he held,
Why does that
someone had
make
a
a
heart
difference?
attack. Somebody had a heart attack at the previous rally, and they didn't even have paramedics on scene. It doesn't matter whether somebody got hurt or not. They did not have anything in place to keep those people at the rally safe. Nothing.
And if let's say improperly fix your brakes.
Which goes to show that they don't care about their supporters.
If they improperly fix your brakes, and their response to it is when you came back after they said, you realize your brakes are improperly fixed. Hey, did anybody get hurt?
Did anybody get hurt?
But would you feel that way?
You could have been unalived. Your family could have been unalived. Other people could have been
unalived.
But that's all that matters. Is just
nobody got hurt, and there is like so many thousands of people that are going to vote for a man that could possibly take Canada out of the shit show that
you're pretty comfortable with risking other people's lives. That's interesting.
Hold on, though, because we hear this narrative all the time, right? Just because PP repeats it all the time. The lost liberal decade. Just a quick question for you then. PP's been in politics for 20 years. He's been an MP for 20 years. What has he done in those 20 years that have benefited Canadians?
He was a minister for quite a few of them, too.
What has he done in those 20 years to benefit Canadians?
20 years is a long time.
I don't know personally what he has done in the last 20 years, but I tell you what, he's been elected and kept being elected for the last 20 years. So he's done something for his community.
Ooh, Frontline, can you tell him the bad news?
He's done nothing.
Yeah.
That's a summary version.
He's
done
not
nothing.
passed a single bill.
He passed one bill that ended up getting redacted because it was unconstitutional, because it was a voter suppression bill.
A voter suppression bill? Well,
yep.
What's that bill?
Do you guys remember the name of it? I can pull it up.
I can pull it up here too. If I can.
I think it was 2014, something around there.
Possibly.
Just while you're doing that, I'm just going to jump in and say I'm going to try to keep it light. But Charles,
Fair Elections Act. Sorry, go ahead. I'll talk about it after.
Everything that you have said has been regurgitated right-wing propaganda, and all you do is regurgitate it. You don't understand what you're talking about. You have no interest in learning about any of it. I don't understand why you even bother. I'm actually appalled that people like you can vote, to be honest with you. And yeah, I think that's my keeping it light.
I just don't understand why people want to keep.
No, you can stop it at I don't understand.
No, Charles.
You could stop it at I don't understand, because clearly you don't, right? And you have no desire to actually want to learn any of it.
I don't understand why people want to continue to vote for a government that has so much influence from the WEF involved in their politics.
Let's get down to this point, don't we?
Why do you hate the WEF?
What is the WEF?
Let's break. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, tell us. What's so evil about it?
My God, like everything about the WEF is to
what do they do?
They're doing all kinds of stuff.
Like what?
Like what?
Like the depopulation of people and the stopping people from travel and
what?
all this.
Okay.
I've
heard all these things, and I'm going to ask you the same thing I ask every single one person that does that comes up with the same thing. Where did you hear your facts from?
right here on TikTok, there's a lot of it of them sitting down and talking about.
Dude, you're embarrassing yourself. You're making yourself look really
There's
dumb right
so
now. I'm
much-
very sorry.
TikTok is not a credible source. It is social media.
You're making yourself look very dumb.
Charles, I have for over 2 years. I've read
So
all
why
sorts of
would you
conspiracy with
even-
regards to WF, the world replacement, the original Agenda 2025, and then the summarized, the updated one to Agenda 2030 because they got close to the year 2025 and they realized maybe we need to move the conspiracy theory end date a little bit further. But that's the thing. It's always conspiracy. Every time you chase down, if you actually follow through in regards to looking up what these people are telling you, you start to discover it's all made up.
Okay,
It's
so
all been made up.
conspiracy theory is only a theory until it's proven true, and then you go on
Conspiracy
to
theories.
Okay, when was the WEF formed? What year?
I have no idea, but if you go
Was
on
it-
their page.
Okay, but was it a year? Was it 5 years? Was it 10 years? How long
If you
ago?
go on the
approximately?
WEF's page and you read what they're saying,
but
what they want to do to the world, it's just destruction of the lower class.
Charles, did you know that it's an actual forum where world leaders get together and discuss economics and worldwide issues?
There's no
power. He doesn't know.
Yeah, no, I've seen all that stuff. Yes, and
You can literally watch the forum online. You can watch what they discuss.
Okay, hold on. What are they doing to the people in your perspective? What's so bad that they're doing to people that's so wrong?
so
And then tell me how they're doing it.
okay, so they want to retract people from being able to travel. They go around and they talk about pollution, and then they take a private jet all over the world. So you, as a person driving your car, is destroying the
Okay,
planet.
we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Travel wherever the hell they
We
want
can't hear you.
on a private jet.
Yeah, he can't hear us.
You know who takes a private jet and goes everywhere? Jeff, what do you have?
Okay, hold on. Let's not get stuck on the private jets. But first of all, how does them talking about pollution mean that they're stopping people from traveling?
Yeah.
It's how they talk about it and what their plan is.
Have you seen it?
What is the plan? I'm trying to get you to answer. What are the action steps they are taking in order to, as you said, stop people from traveling?
So by introducing a universal income, like you were talking about earlier, if they can introduce that universal income, and then dilute the income that I make, then that would potentially stop me from being able to go to Jamaica and have a good time in Jamaica. Because if they introduce the income and everybody and their instead of Canadian money and American money and having that part of democracy, and now they're in control, and now I go to work just to get the universal income that they want.
Somebody's typing really loud. Sorry, I'm going to have to get you to mute your mic, whoever's typing, because it's... Go ahead.
So once they introduce the universal income and everybody's so kosher and oh, this is great, then they'll start diluting the money that I make, and they're like, oh, we're giving you this, so now you don't need to make the money that you're making, and we'll just continue to pay your bills and all that kind of stuff, and then eventually it'll come down to preventing like 15-minute cities all this kind of stuff, and eventually.
Why is a 15-minute city a bad idea? Jesus Christ.
What?
Why is a 15-minute city a bad idea? As a part of a large city that you can get everything you
They've been
need
told a
within
whole
15
bunch.
minutes?
Yeah, they've been
I
told a whole
think you
bunch of
took a
misinformation
class
about it.
on this.
Okay, so I just want to point out, do you work for a large corporation? Do you contract to a large corporation? Or do you, like, whatever you do within carpentry, do you work for a company?
Yeah, I work for a company. Yep.
Okay, so what happens when technological advancement gets to the point where we have tools like robotics and things that can do your job better than you can and for longer hours than you can?
This guy's having a blast trolling it.
Shit.
No, I don't think he's trolling us. I think this is the problem, and this is what happens, Charles, and this is the hard part. There's a lot of misinformation out there in the world, and I wish that more people watched and understood the house hippo, because the house hippo was literally one of the best Canadian commercials to come out about media literacy and understanding how to fact check the thing that you're seeing on the screen in front of you. And this is a problem that many people don't seem to comprehend. Like, the house hippo is not a real thing. And the point of that fun Canadian heritage conversation was that you can't believe everything you read on your screen. You can't believe everything you see online. And half the problem is the people that are telling you, you can't trust all of these established things, because all of them, all they want to do is take your money and globalization and depopulate. All of the people saying that are in essence attempting to get people to not trust in the institutions that have taken care of them for the majority of their life. That's their point. That's why they do it. And so they use these tools like social media and the abundant amount of people that don't understand media literacy and say things in such a I am telling you the truth way that it doesn't matter whether we tell you that the thing you are talking about is not true because it is misinformation, that you won't believe it. And that's the point of a lot of, like, I know for myself and JB and many of the people that have these conversations, is that we are just trying to help people gain media literacy so that maybe the next time you see something that seems completely out of pocket or out of left field about somebody, that you might take some time to actually look into it. Because if you took the time to actually look into Mark Carney, for example, and half of the things that have been said about him are not true. They're not.
Okay.
And it's very easy to fact check those things.
So if I give you $2 billion a year, are you gonna talk about me are you gonna talk about me as a good person, or are you gonna actually fact check my life and be like, hey, listen,
I vet everyone I speak to. I hope you know, before I even came up here, I even vetted you.
You give CBC $2 billion every year, and you can pay, all your people so much money, and then you expect
Charles, can you tell me what CBC is?
Then you can expect the CBC to
No, Charles, before we talk about CBC, can you tell me what the CBC is?
It's supposed to be a non-bias.
Did we forget about the WEF and 15-minute cities? Because I think we've pivoted like 4 times.
Yeah, we've
now.
totally gone off topic here.
Yeah.
Like, I have the whole WEF website, and I again did my research and looked into what they talk about. And I personally haven't gone a deep dive into them, but if they're talking about a universal income, in looking at the things that they are studying, the things that they are looking into on their website, it's stuff like innovation, education, renewable energy, climate change, the future for the environment, energy transition, electricity, pandemic preparedness and responsiveness, climate health, planetary boundaries, positive tipping points, Earth observation, semiconductors, strategic foresight, global risks, space, artificial intelligence, all things that are very forefront, very big scientific categories for the world right now.
So there are also big world issues that need to be discussed.
And just like our last global pandemic, it was a joke.
Don't you dare. I almost died from COVID. Don't you fucking dare.
I've never been vaccinated.
Don't you
I've had
fucking
COVID,
dare.
And it was a joke. It was a joke.
No, that's not a joke. That's not a joke. There were people that did not make it from COVID. I myself am a very healthy person other than my amputation, and it nearly took me out. So don't you dare.
One of my good girlfriends is now walking with a walker, has chronic fatigue syndrome, and has a nervous system degeneration that changed her life forever from COVID. And she wishes that she ended up being able to get the vaccine, but she got COVID before vaccines were available.
And you can't tell fact from fiction, so I don't know that COVID didn't affect you.
Vaccine. Goodbye, guys.
Good luck with that. I'm going to tell my vaccine story since wonderful human over here. I actually received my first dose of the vaccine. He doesn't know how to disconnect because he's a 5-year-old. Sorry, I don't mean to be mean about that, but
it
honestly,
would be great if he disconnected and we brought somebody else up. I mean, he doesn't.
I
have
agree.
To focus a big deal.
So for to speak to how effective the vaccine was, and I like to give this as an example. On Mother's Day of the year that I was able to start getting the vaccine, I went and I got my first dose. I was not feeling well throughout the day. Later that day, I became very ill, was starting to have a hard time breathing. Over the following week, I had paramedics come to my house multiple times to help me breathe with oxygen. And every time they came, they said, your oxygen level isn't low enough, we can't take you. And so this happened multiple times. On the last day, when they were thinking about really taking me to hospital because my percentage was just like 90%, I was getting quite low in my oxygen intake. The next morning I woke up and I could breathe, and it was exactly 14 days from the day that I got the vaccine, and it was like I went from nearly being taken to hospital to functioning human being. It was a night and day difference. So if anybody out there thinks that vaccine didn't work, I can tell you from firsthand damn experience, it sure as hell does.
So I want to maybe apologize for being a bit of an asshole, and I want to commend all of you for being so patient with that guy.
You weren't an asshole.
I just can't with these people. They're fucking idiots. I just can't.
I want to mention that if you watched his body language, we were breaking through some barriers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I think we did some good here, where I think he will at least maybe go visit JB's video and maybe, learn some more, and maybe that will open more avenues for him to go and learn even more.
And I want to...
Yeah, there's also something to notice that generally when you're... A lot of these things, as we all have seen, and because I know we've all seen this repeatedly over and over again, they're parroting talking points constantly. So they're spitting it out, whatever they've heard. You can almost hear it every time, no matter who's saying it to you, regardless of the accent, regardless of anything else. It's always the same script. It almost feels like they're reading because it's the same thing they've heard over and over again, and they're just good at parroting. And the minute we debunk any particular thing, because we're going to debunk all of them, because we keep hearing them constantly, it's an immediate pivot. And I think one of the things that kind of frustrates me is, and I think it frustrates a couple others, and I didn't help there in particular when I tried to chase down the CBC, which is they want to pivot, fine. But I've been trying to see if we can do a bit of no, we need to finish this one. You need to understand where the argument that you had is wrong. Can you understand? And I think I have some sort of blind faith that this might break through somehow, but It's probably.
I'm gonna put a challenge out to you guys if you're interested. I'm not, but if you want to write down, when you have these conversations, write down what order the discussion goes into and which talking points there are. And I would bet that probably 90% of the people you talk to, they all fall in the same order. Am I right? They all fall basically in the same order.
Yeah, this is what I've done, because this is how I try to figure out all of their different talking points. So every time that we do a live, every time I do a debate, I kind of start writing down everything that they do and all the order they go in. And it is almost the same for every single one of them. It's the same talking points. It's the same stuff. But now that I'm talking, I want to get a chance to say this. I know that I'm going to keep driving this point home. And, some people might not like it, but that's okay. We need to do something in order for our society to be able to move forward properly, right? And it's going to suck, but it is going to take our side. They're not going to do it. It's going to take us to have patience, to have civil conversations with them, to keep debunking, to keep putting ourselves out there, because this is what the right has done for years. So now we have to work for years at constantly being on it, constantly debunking, but also showing empathy towards them. I know that some of them are incapable of showing empathy towards us, but it is going to take our side to be able to get through this and heal our society, because they're not going to do it. And I know it's hard. I know it's annoying. I know sometimes we're all going to lose our cool. We're going to snap. We're going to say some mean things here and there. But if we can try to stay level-headed and stay civil, the fact that he stayed on as long as he did, we did do a little bit of breaking through. And we did show him that I know Miss Radical is like, no, we didn't.
You have to check his background out before we have that conversation.
He said it. He said it on the live. He said what he did on the live. He actually did give us his background.
I heard him too. I was there, and then I went back and checked him, and I got 10 texts from people in Newfoundland saying to me, "Why are you amplifying him right now? If this is a bad idea."
Yeah.
But they live there in St. John's, and this is their life, and it affects them, right?
And
so that's their feelings.
And that's fair. And we don't know, that's just one person. We don't know who's going to come up, right? We have different people. We had the one guy that came up one time when me and Joe did a political compass test with him,
I was there. I love that one. But, we didn't boot him. He still got to stay and speak, as much as I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. We did the right thing, and we're doing the right thing. And all I wanted to do is say that I know that it's uncomfortable for us to hear this, that we have to be the bigger people, because a lot of us are exhausted, and we would want nothing more than to be able to just insult and move on. But we have to be the bigger people, because that's the only way that I think we can move our society forward. Because right now we're at a point where, like, if this continues, society will break. There is no way for us to heal until something changes. And the only way to change and get people out of a cult is to constantly remind them that the stuff that their cult leaders are telling them are not right, until finally someone breaks out of that. Because I think we all have a friend, or all of us at one point believed something that wasn't true. And when we heard that it wasn't true enough times, and we decided to start doing our own research and start listening to people, we didn't listen to people that belittled us. We listened to people that showed empathy, right? So as hard as it is sometimes, and I know we're not going to be able to do it 24/7, but I do think it's going to be our side that's going to have to keep working to heal our society, unfortunately. It's not a comfortable thing to say, but I just wanted to say that I'm proud of everybody that's on here. All of you guys spoke so incredibly well. You were civil, you were empathetic, you were cool and calm and collected, even though the conversations were hard. Look at what our panel sounds like versus when you go into one of those conservative panels and it's just yelling across the board, right? I love that, and I just want to thank everybody for that, and that's the way that we need to continue and keep going. And if anybody wants to add to that, like, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I'm swimming right now, and I'm doing physio every day, right?
I'm not in total agreement, if I may speak. I'm sorry. I worked in the addictions field for 20 years. And the first thing I learned was never try to reason with somebody who's drinking. And he was drinking.
Yeah, you noticed that too, eh?
Oh, yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. I think one of the things that struck me early on, though, too, was that he knew firsthand about this whole about the rally in Edmonton, and then he also knew firsthand about what happened at the rally in Newfoundland, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I know people. No, you don't. I saw the same TikTok video. Like, come on, give me a break.
Did you see how he was laughing at you at the end? He was here just to troll all of you.
Yeah, he's also going to vote the way he said.
I don't think he was here. I don't think he's laughing for trolling. I think he was laughing because he felt, oh, you guys are all wrong. Ha, typical liberals.
Mm-hmm.
I have one other point I wanted to make it about the universal basic income. It's a leveler in a way that's going to help all Canadians. Like in my municipality, and I grew up here in Kingston, our property taxes were some of the highest in the country. Also because we're the limestone city and it costs millions to do a block, with pipes and so on. But we also are a prison city, so the municipalities carry the burden of supplementing incomes, and we had, thousands of prison families here. So it was quite a burden on us, and so it levels the playing field as far as everybody is contributing rather than just property owners. All levels of government are contributing.
Of course. That's something that conservatives have a really hard time wrapping their brains around, is the different levels of government and what their roles are. But that's what I mean. Like, we got to just keep repeating it. I do believe in the power of the subconscious mind. And at the end of the day, they were all programmed by repetition. So the only way to deprogram is by opposite side repetition. But I know that Miss Radical really wanted to say something. So go ahead.
That's okay. I forgot about it.
You were swimming. You said that something about swimming.
Oh, I swim with, I'm doing physio every day at the pool, some hydrotherapy. And there's a few older gentlemen, I would probably say, in that kind of boomer era. And so they both opened up with different conversations with me around politics, right? And I'm just saying to them things like, you know what? I'm a swing voter, which isn't entirely a lie. I am a swing voter. And I tell them, I haven't decided. And I just let them talk to me. And I'm not debunking every single thing they're saying. And I let them know my background, which is a Canadian military background, and our family, and they like those things. And then we talk about the things that we're more alike about. And I keep reminding them, oh, I think that way too. The fella said to me, well, Miss Radical, you don't own a pew. And I said, well, how do you know I don't own that? And he said, well, you do? And I said, yeah, I love hunting. I think it's a great sport. Why wouldn't I? I think it's hunting and gathering, and there's all these important things to it. Oh, so I'm just reminding him each week I'm a little bit more like him than not. And having these conversations, and he's like not getting upset with me, having great conversations. I think we can get there. I had a really hard time with this person because I don't know that he was authentic in the things he was saying, and that's the struggle for me. But these fellas that I was talking to when I was face to face, I know they believe some of the things that they're saying, and I know that they're misled, and I keep reminding them too, you've been tricked like I've been tricked, and we're all hearing a different story. We're all manipulated, and if you're under the $1 billion range, we're all being tricked.
A point that I would like to bring up, just because it's statistical, I can't remember which poll it was, but one of the pollsters asked Canadians, based off of who they said they were going to vote for in the poll, of how decided they were. Conservative voters in that poll, 70% said that they were decided and wouldn't be changing. So there is still a 30% range that is not necessarily fully decided. So when we have these conversations with people, and I went through, JB and I went to hell and back during COVID and the convoy. While this is still just as impactful, the conspiracy theories run rampant for people that feel like their institutions are not taking care of them, that they've lost faith in their institutions as a whole. And so one of the most important tools in your tool belt when you're talking to people that have lost that faith in institutions is reminding them where those institutions succeed for them, where they actually do work for them. Because the people that are trying to tell them that Canada is broken, that everything is wrong here, it needs to be upended, they're hearing the tidbits of, well, I don't like how the system helps me in this place, and I don't like how the system doesn't help me here, so I'm going to complain about it because the system isn't helping me in the way that I want them to. So they don't see fairness, and I think that's where a lot of his misconception of income support and support programs in general comes from, is he, without even saying it, you could tell that the sentiment was, well, they help my neighbor, why don't they help me? And that's how a lot of people think, is it doesn't it's helping somebody else, but it's not helping me. And so they can't see outside of their bubble. And so for people that really can't see outside of their bubble, this type of rhetoric really sticks. So even when talking to these kind of people, like, he was open, especially when talking to JB, he was open to learning more about UBI, which is a step in the right direction. But when people are so dead set and going through the script of this, that they said this, they said this, they did this happened, and you could tell that it's just all the talking points, there is a level of understanding that has to go out the window, because at a certain point you have to just tell them how it is, and if they want to listen they can, if they don't want to listen they don't have to. But the point is that there might be somebody else in the chat that's not up here that hears those points and goes, wait, what? And looks it up and looks into that, and then they go, oh, well, if I believed this, well, I thought that this was wrong, but it's not, I should go look into this. And then the cascade effect happens. So even when you're talking to people that are so staunchly conservative and party line riders and will not listen to a thing you say, you have to remember it's not just them listening. It's also the people that are behind the screen, not up talking with us, because that might be the person that it catches their attention. That point might make them, give them that little bit of doubt that sparks the flame for them to realize, hey, this thing that I'm hearing might not be true. I am going to run though. It was fun talking to what's his name. Definitely look up his news stories. They are nutty.
They're wild,
they are
aren't they?
Crazy.
I was
wild. That's a wild story.
Thank you though, because you were very eloquent in how you spoke. And
thank you. I tried.
Went through it.
Hey,
Valkyrie, you're amazing.
When he needs me to yell at people, so the fact that I'm eloquent is a nice break from angry lady.
I was gonna say, I've listened to you on JB's live a bunch of times, and you've always sounded very eloquent. To me, you've never come across aggressive. You've always just come across as incredibly intelligent.
Oh, and even Red, years of experience will do that.
Very articulate. Very articulate.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you so much for being here. All right. Well, let's take the time to close off the live. We'll let everybody... Hold on, I want to make it a little bit nicer on the eyes. There we go.
You said it's pretty now.
Oh, and just like that, I'm centered again. Nice.
Perfect.
The center of attention.
I want to let everybody kind of say their piece. What if there's anything that you got out of the live, if there's anything you want to say to the audience, if there are any points that you really, really want to make, go for it. And no time limit. Everybody can chat for as long as they want to say their last point, and then I'll close it up. So we'll actually start at the bottom. So we'll start with Jane, then PG, Joe, Sean, Miss Radical, and then me, and we'll close it off that way.
Well, thank you very much for having me up on the panel. I really appreciate it. I always learn something new. Sorry, my nose is stuffy all of a sudden. I think allergies. But yeah, thank you for having me on the panel. And, I love listening and learning, and, it helps me too, because I learn from you guys, different approaches, on how to communicate with these people, because we all know it's excruciatingly difficult, and I like learning that. So thank you. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm a nerd. I'm sorry.
You don't have to say sorry, but that was very Canadian of you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.
Bye. PG.
I think I'm just gonna echo that. Great live. That guy was a weirdo, but anyway, what are you gonna do? We do have to find a way to have the patience to talk to them. I commend all you guys for having that patience. I think I'm just having a hard time finding it at this point, especially when I hear all of the same talking points all the time, and I'm like, dude, come on, how many times do we need to tell you? And so maybe that's just me, and so I think Mrs. Radical's kind of with me on that one. But so maybe it's not just me. All right. Good to know.
I promise you it's not. It's not just you in any way, shape, or form. As I said earlier, we're exhausted. We've been dealing with this since basically the Freedom Convoy. It hasn't stopped.
Yeah, it's
so
just conspiracy.
we're tired.
Going, and they can't, no matter how many times you tell them, they just, for whatever reason, you can't reason with these people. It's hard, and hopefully we can get a few to actually listen to reason, but you're right, it's hard. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks for having me up.
Thanks for
You're
coming.
very, very welcome. Sean.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Joe first, but it's okay.
Never mind. You know what?
Skipping over me?
It's because I changed the layout and it was going this way. I'm so sorry, Joe. I'm so sorry. My apologies.
Totally intentional. I feel it right here. It's pain. Kidding.
I'm sorry, Joe. I love you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I am going to just troll the hell out of you for it, but
I'm okay with that.
So one of the things I was thinking about this, because again, this gentleman here tonight wasn't the first, and it won't be the last in regards to everything about him. And I was thinking, well, what do we do to start changing the minds of some of these peoples? Sometimes we do strike a little chord, sometimes we don't. And I'm thinking here, we need to start thinking about where this started for these individuals. What's their where's their origin stories, if you will. And it comes down to their indoctrination, and their indoctrination was very much tapped on emotion. I mean, everything these guys are talking about, they're talking from a voice of fear in regards to the World Economic Forum's out to get us. They're going to do all these terrible things to us, and the 15-minute cities are going to ruin us. And Carney has got money, and he's part of them, and it's going to be out to get us, and everything's out to get us. They've been indoctrinated with this fear, and they're being controlled with this fear. So anything of logic is going to be difficult to explain, because again, we've done this repeatedly many times in regards to how do we address this, through logic and to explain the whole thing, and we've all done it. We've all broken them all down, and these guys will pivot because we can absolutely explain everything we need to in regards to the logic behind it, but if we don't also address the emotion that's there and find a way to get them to bring up the emotion as to why they have this fear, what's causing this fear, and try to change that view because of the fear, they're never going to change. And they're going to stick to the same thing, and no matter how many times we correct every single one, they're going to pivot because it's going to be the place that feels safe for them. We need to show them there's a safer place, and it's not living in this fear. That's it.
Do you have any ideas of how to do that?
So a couple of ideas I had in regards to that was it's a bit of chasing down once you once you go through a little bit of the questioning in regards to this, and this is again untested, and you have to try this out. So I completely invite everybody to also try these ideas out too. After a couple of times of these arguments that you do, that we all do, we argue, break it down, they don't like it, they pivot. After a couple of pivots, you should be able to see a sort of a pattern of where this kind of fear comes from. In this case, for Brian, it's I'd say in regards to his addiction, or at least being the son of addiction, or and likewise, and having seen addiction around his family, and the emotion that comes with it. Could be fear that he could be taken by addiction. Could be anger he has in regards to it. Can be fear that the government's going to be trying to make everybody an addict, and that's going to be overwhelming to him because he's going to feel responsible to have to address and basically take care of everybody. Because as he said, he had to take care of and helped out with everybody else. That might be his fear on a subconscious level. And showing him, no, if this is your fear, then, what if we can have a system that can make sure that you're not alone to deal with this? Something that can help you. And maybe that starts to pull him away from the emotion of absolutely afraid that everybody's out to get him.
And that's probably why he seemed to open up a little bit when JB started talking to him about UBI.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Showing something that can address, because again, these guys have fears, and they also have some legitimate concerns underneath the layers of absolute insane rhetoric. There is legitimate fears down there, and legitimate concerns and legitimate problems that they want to have addressed, and probably feel that they've ignored. In some cases, absolutely. We know our system is not perfect, and so if you can get down to that point, and again, these guys are, it's an emotional thing, and therefore, guys, particularly in this particular group, aren't really good at discussing their emotions. So, this might be a challenge. Just saying.
Yeah, I think that a bunch of progressive men should create a men's group, but pretend they're not progressive, pretend they're conservatives to get those guys into the men's group, and then start just being really supportive and talking about their emotions. and then after breaking through those, then they can be like, oh, UBI might be a good thing. Hey,
You could
maybe we don't need to worry about the LGBTQ.
Men who like bacon. Men who like bacon, you can all have a party and come together. I think they like bacon.
But yeah, kind of like I said it though many times, right? It is going to have to be the progressive men that are going to be leading the way into being able to talk at least to the more conservative men to find some common ground. Because you saw how the energy switched when he talked to a guy versus talking to a woman. It does. It makes a difference. I don't like it, but it does make a difference. They do have more trust in other men than they have in women. So it's gonna be men that are going to have to lead through this, yeah.
The amount of lives, I think, in the past week or two where this particular point of men reacting differently when I'm talking versus when a woman's talking is, and again, I never doubted it before. It's just, I really saw quite a bit in the last 2 weeks for some reason, more than before. It's really, really significant. I apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't really look at us as equals. We're subhuman, but that's okay.
Shouldn't you be making me a sandwich somewhere?
You're going to be making me a sandwich.
Gentlemen, if you're making her make you a sandwich, I wouldn't eat the sandwich. Just especially leaving it in the kitchen.
You know what? You can both work on making a sandwich. It's amazing what happens when there's equality in a relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joe. That was great. Sean.
Yeah.
Closing statements.
Yes, I have a couple of points. First, I just want to start off by, I think that we are very lucky, and I'm not trying to suck up or anything, but to have people like you and Valkyrie and I think Love Base. And there was someone else too that was up. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence you were all women, but you guys are just so intelligent and you guys just know how to get your points across. And I am jealous. I mean, before COVID, I was not as close to where you guys are, but I was better than I am now at speaking and speaking more intelligently and stuff like that. But I think we are lucky to have people like you guys because, like, I feel like, sorry, I'm saying like a lot. I feel like Paris Hilton. I think the future really is having a lot more women in politics because I know a lot, well, from studying here and there, a lot of the First Nations, they were matriarchal, and they respected the land, they respected each other. They had two-spirited, they accepted other genders. They were full of acceptance and compassion and empathy. They worked together. That's where I really see society going. And I'm not just saying only women could do that, but right now, men suck, to be honest. Coming from a man myself. So, that aside, with that guy, I do think we made some breakthrough, a little bit of breakthrough. I think we did some good work in that. I mean, yeah, a little bit can sometimes go a long way, I hope. But yeah, no, he definitely had some issues. And just circling back to what Joe said, is we're going to need more progressive men just talking to these guys. Not me, because you could tell I'm gay by my voice. So they usually shove me off right away. But yeah, no, we need more like Joe, Johnny, Good Trouble. Like, they're all progressive men. They're all, well, presumably, I know at least, not presumably, what am I trying to say? They're at least straight acting. Whatever their sexuality is, sexual orientation is, they're straight acting. So, men like those type of men, like Charles or whatever his name was, like, wouldn't get defensive speaking to them because they're not going to feel like, oh, he's going to come on to me. Well, you know what I'm trying to get at. Anyways, so, but yeah, and what Miss Radical said too about the person she was going swimming with and all that, that's how we really are going to make the difference. As much as it, like, when we're talking to that guy, like, I felt inside like this little burning anger. But the thing is, we have to swallow our pride, and we have to just speak to these people, like, respectfully, and build bridges, like, find common ground and go from there. Like, I have a friend who, his husband had family in Michigan, I think it was, and he was in October. They drove down there, and at one stop, they stopped at this diner or whatever, and my friend was having a coffee, and he opened up the little packet, but when he opened it, it like exploded, and exploded onto the people beside him, and he looked over, and the man had a MAGA hat. And anyways, and the first thought in his head, like, they're going to beat me up. But no, they turned around and they laughed, and they had a conversation. And they had a great conversation throughout the whole meal time. And, like, he told me this, and he said, Sean, like, they're human. They're nice people deep down inside. And for most of them, yeah, even though it's hard for me to accept being a gay man and seeing all the hate that's coming towards my community from them, they are human. And we have to accept that and treat them as human if they're going to ever consider us as human and consider our opinions to be valid. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say. But yeah, it was a really good live tonight. I saw the numbers. I think we got over 160 at one point. It was amazing.
Probably because of JB, but we'll take the credit for ourselves. It's okay. But yeah, no, I agree with everything that you said. That's literally the point I was making earlier, is that the only way we're going to get through this is if we treat them with humanity. Maybe not necessarily empathy all the time, because sometimes when they really press your buttons, it's really hard to be in your empathetic place. But at least the humanity can always be there. Even as you're yelling facts, you can still, in your heart, be like, this is a human being and I care for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Miss Radical, just so you know, I'm going to go off screen, but I'm here. But my phone is at 2%, so I have to plug it in. But when I plug it in,
that's okay.
You can't see me. But I'm here.
I get that. Okay, thanks. I think the thing that I struggled with the most is I went and looked him up right away. So I was able to look up his background right away, which, when I look at his background and then I'm seeing the struggles he had, I'm realizing that, he had to tap in on a lot of empathy to get through that experience from other people in his community. And he sure doesn't have that empathy for anybody else around him. So I had a huge struggle with that part. And I felt like he was I felt like he was being disingenuous, I guess. But everybody does deserve respect and a fair conversation if they're respectful. So I don't know. I don't know if I've decided that he was disingenuous or not. We'll have to see. Maybe he'll change, maybe he won't. It felt like he went through that whole list, check, WEF, check. So that's a little bit of a struggle, but I will say that the situation he landed himself into in his life lends to where he is now. It's like anger at the system, anger at all of these different things that didn't work for him. And now he's coming after everyone because of it. So that's just my take though. Yeah. So that's about it.
I think you're bang on, and I think a big part of it with a lot of these people that have so much anger at the end of the day, I think it is because of undealt with trauma. It really is, right? Because if you've gone through something like that and you yourself have gotten a lot of hate, and then you had to make it on your own and you felt like you didn't get help, and then you look at other people getting help and you've never dealt with your emotions, then yeah, you're going to feel enraged and you're going to have all these negative feelings. So at the end of the day, we're dealing with people that have trauma that have never actually been able to manage it, right? A lot of this, as we've talked about many times on this live, that it's the especially young men that are being targeted. Well, why is it so easy to target them? Well, it's easy to target them because a lot of them are struggling. They are struggling, and a lot of the struggles have a lot to do with their emotions, with the fact that they don't feel like they can talk about things because otherwise they're going to be called weak. Maybe they have issues getting a girlfriend, and that's a big problem for some of them. So it's very easy for somebody to tap into that and manipulate it and create more anger and more rage, because it's an emotion that's easy to hang on to, right? Rage and anger makes people feel powerful. And it's always a false sense of empowerment, but it does make people feel powerful. As somebody who was an angry kid when I was younger, I know that from personal experience. I used to get really, really angry because, I was bullied when I was younger. And then that ended up, I turned that rage onto my parents. And I look back on it now and I was like, that was all so pointless. But in those moments, the rage and the anger made me feel like I had a sense of control. They made me feel like I was powerful and that I was in control of my own life. Where realistically, it was the complete opposite. That anger led me to do things that were detrimental to my own life. And I had to do a lot of healing in myself to get over that. And yeah, I was young, but I can still totally relate to that feeling of I'm going to choose anger because it's easier to feel anger than to feel depression, than to feel my emotions, and to have to go talk to a counselor and seek help. So I know why it's happening, and that's why I try to be empathetic and, keep a civil discourse and keep calm, because I do feel sorry for a lot of them. I really do. I know that they're just hurt. So we have to use that going forward. And a lot of it is, a lot of them just do it for fun. Like, I know that a lot of them just have fun trolling. It's a fun thing for them. But, what are you going to expect out of a young 18, 19-year-old kid who's only been watching Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate for the last 5 years?
I hope he challenges himself. I hope he goes to JP's page and challenges himself for a few minutes and comes away with something. Because when I was a conservative so long ago, a few people said things to me and I wondered in the middle of the night why they said those things. And I got up and looked at the computer and, searched it and started reading articles, and it got me thinking about things and inspired some different thoughts in my head, right? And that's where it starts. That's the moment it starts. When you're willing to challenge the information that you have.
I mean, I've almost fallen for many conspiracy theories in my life. I've almost gone there too. But I'm always somebody that wanted to hear both sides of every story. And I've always really valued intellectuals. I've always really valued people with degrees and knowledge. And so I ended up hearing the other side, and something inside me went, wait a minute, that kind of makes sense. I'm going to dig into this more. But there was times where I almost fell down those rabbit holes myself, especially being in, the yoga spiritual community. You know how much that community is targeted by conspiracy theories. So, there was a couple of times where I almost went down that road. I'm, grateful every day that I didn't, but I understand the appeal.
I used to have sleep deprivation, and I suffered from it very badly. And I would stay up at night and listen to not Joe Rogan, Art Bell on the radio on the Course Network. Holy conspiracy central. And I was right up in it for a long time.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're out of it.
It took Trump getting elected, honestly, to
The first time, you mean, or the second time?
The first time. Well, when they started pushing Trump, I was like, what? These guys are nuts. What are they talking about? And they started pushing that. And then when Trump got elected, I was like, oh gosh, I can never listen to that stuff again.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, for me, it was all the conspiracies around health and wellness, because coming from the alternative health, I almost fell down that path a lot, actually. But again, I went and did the research and ended up trusting medical science instead. But I was targeted by that, right? Because again, being a health and wellness person online and being in that space, that's what the algorithm pushes on you. All kinds of conspiracy theories. I remember when the carnivore diet came out, and for the first couple of weeks, I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense. Look at all these fitness influencers that I've been following for years. They can't all be wrong about this. There must be something to it. And then I saw a guy eat raw pig testes and a stick of butter. And I was like, wait a minute. No way.
It's not good.
Not good, not good. But as I said, yeah, 100%. Always challenge yourself. Thank you guys so much for being here. Miss Radical, are we doing the debate live tomorrow night?
Yes, we are. Are you good with that?
Yeah, are you going to host again? Switch roles?
Switch it up, baby.
All right, so everybody that's still here tomorrow night, if you want to debate us, tonight wasn't supposed to be a debate. I brought up Charles not really knowing who he was. I figured he might be up there for like 5-10 minutes, and then it turned into a whole hour and a half conversation. But tomorrow is the debate night. If you are opposition, if you want to chat, we just ask you to be civil and respectful. Obviously, like if you just come on there and start swearing, we're going to kick you off. But otherwise, even if you have an opposing view, we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to talk to you. Come join us tomorrow night. We're Beaver Network. I almost said politics. We're Beaver Network. And we are live every single evening during the week. On some days, we even have live shows during the day. So check out our page. The shows will be posted in the pinned videos.
Oh, wait. And Pixie Lee is on tonight after us.
Yeah, Pixie's on. Pixie's on. What, in half an hour or something?
11,
No,
I think late night. I think she starts at 11. Pixie Lee.
Okay, so yeah, Pixie will be on in an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So Pixie's on in an hour and a half. She's doing the late night show. But yeah, we're here pretty much all the time. If you want to join our Discord, just go through our link tree. If you want to help us out, follow us on YouTube as well. And thank you. Oh yeah, tomorrow, Rainbow Connection.
Yeah, Rainbow Connection. That's very important. Sean,
what time is that? Because I think, Sean, you're Eastern time, or
yeah, it's 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
12:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about the misinformation being spread about trans kids and trans youth, as well as talking about teaching kids about the 2S LGBTQIA community and how it's beneficial for everyone when kids learn about these things. So come on down to watch us, and we'll also be inviting people up to ask questions in good faith, so we have a civil discourse, and so it'll be a good time.
Awesome. If you guys want to go to my page, I just posted a video before starting this live about, unfortunately, a teacher getting fired because she called her student by their preferred name, because that student was being basically abused by their parents at home because their parents did not want to accept them for who they are. And that kid found a lot of support at school, and the teacher knew that it was against the law to call them by their preferred name, but did it anyway out of compassion, kindness, and love, and now she's getting fired for it. And I made the point of, think about the fact that that kid is already suffering, and now you're adding the guilt of someone being fired over them showing humanity towards you. And this was a teenager, so it wasn't just a kid, it was a teenager. We're at the point where, you're a teenager. It is ridiculous that you need parental permission to be called by the name you want to be called by. I can't even believe that this is the world that we live in.
And was this
here
in Canada?
No, it wasn't in Canada. No, it was down in the States, obviously.
I know in when I taught in Alberta, they were very strict with us. We were never allowed to use children's nicknames at all, in any way, shape, or form in the classroom. If a child was Michael Edward, just for an example, I couldn't call him Mikey. I couldn't call him, I would get in a lot of trouble from my principal if I stepped out of those lines. I remember a little grade 3 boy, and he came up to me and he said, "My name is Spider," right? And I'm trying to make this relationship with this kid. So every time I'd see him, I'd be like, "Hey, Spider, how you doing?" Right? And I got in trouble for that. I got in trouble for calling him by what he preferred to talk to, and it had nothing to do with anything but making a relationship with the student. And
that's exactly what they were talking about in the report too, is that this teacher, and like there's a petition for this teacher, there's like court hearings, there's so much support for her because apparently she was one of the kindest teachers in the entire school, and everybody's trying to petition to try to get her job back, because at the end of the day, I understand, like, parents do play a huge part in how their child is raised, but when do parents cross the line into abusing that child? Like, people have to be able to take care of that kid.
They abuse and crossing that over into the school form, like, that's a little bit why I left education, is because, you know, the birth of the mama bear and the rights that they have to show up in classrooms and bully teachers and principals, and it's just appalling. I saw parents putting books in libraries that were not on those reading lists, that weren't supposed to be, just to have a political event happen. I can't say everything. I'm not allowed to say it all publicly, but you know, I walked away being scared of parents, not kids. Parents.
I know.
Their kids didn't do anything wrong. They were born perfect. They were fine. It's the parents.
I know. It's a sad reality that we live in, but hopefully this is what we call extinction burst, and hopefully a decade from now things will have settled for the most part. Hopefully, either that or we're all doomed anyway. So let's hope for the first choice.
Okay, sounds like a better plan.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow. Miss Radical, I will be your guest, and we're going to debate some people tomorrow night.
And thank you, Frontline, for doing the work. And Sean, thank you for doing the work. I appreciate you guys so much. We would be nowhere without either of you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Take care, both of you. Have a good evening.
Have a
Good night, everybody.